All right, how you guys doing? I just wanted to let some people get in here. Hopefully, people actually get notifications. Um, Last night, people were getting notifications, but before that, like my two videos before last night, I was finding out that notifications weren't going out. So hopefully, people will start streaming in here. Until then, we'll just chat a little bit. We got some stuff to talk about. And for anyone watching this after the fact, don't worry, I won't take too long. I'm just gonna let it fill up a little bit. And if people could just let me know if they got a notification or not, I would really appreciate that. And then we'll get to business. All right. Yep. It looks like people are getting a notification for this one. Okay, so that's good. All right. So I'd like a few more people in here. Yeah, I know. Last night people got notifications, and it seems like this one people got notifications. That's good. Okay, so this video, it's not going to be about the Intel that's been promised. In fact, I brought my hard drive somewhere, and they told me that they could salvage. And when I say somewhere, sorry about that. Let's fix myself. When I say somewhere, I didn't bring it from Geek Squad or anything like that. I have a friend, who is very good at this stuff, and I probably should have called him in the first place, but I don't like to bother him. He has 7 kids, so I almost feel bad for the guy. But all right, so the reason for this video is basically just some stuff that's come across my radar, some stuff that's come across my email, some things that are concerning. Okay, so I'll start with the number one thing. If you don't know, it's going to be Ramadan. It's Ramadan, and that is the most holy of holies for the Muslims, and that's just fine. And in the past, I actually had a friendly, healthy debate about this with a source, and basically, they were saying that, well, they ended up being right, but they were saying that Ramadan, heads up, head on a swivel. And I said, well, I don't know. I mean, in the past, there's been ceasefires during Ramadan. You know, I've seen, like wars come to a halt for Ramadan. So, in my mind, these like the extremists, the Islamist extremists, it seems that they don't like to shed blood on Ramadan. And maybe that used to be the case, or maybe they just do that so that to look for optics. Um, but it turns out I ended up doing some research, and non-state. Now, if it's state, let's say like Iran, like did something on Ramadan, that would be frowned upon by the Muslim community. So it seems that as of late, non-state, um, like militant groups, they have been known to not only shed blood on Ramadan, but have significant increased activity in terrorist activities. I said that weird, but on Ramadan. So I would not be surprised if something was to go down today, this evening, or tomorrow. Um, that's what I understand. That'll probably be the Ramadan season. The last couple of years, there's been a lot of attacks. Although when I looked them up, a lot of them are like kind of on their own, like in Pakistan, and it doesn't really say any specific group. It's basically just radical Islamists. No country or nothing like that. It's not going to be. anything like that. Now they might be behind the scenes funding it, but because of optics, they would never, 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 um, take any credit for that. And at the same time, because it's Ramadan, you know, it just everything um, becomes more possible, including FFs. Um, there could be a real terrorist attack against Muslims. I mean, I think it would probably be the other way around, but what happened in NZ, something like that could happen. I mean, when you have a holiday that seems to be, from what I understand about their faith, their most important holiday, their like Christmas to Christians. Although, really, I think, for Christians, it should be Good Friday or Easter. That is our most holy holiday. Um, Not to mention, I'm not even going to get into the fact that the pagan religion kind of weaved itself into Christianity, because that was just the times, and those traditions have been kept. The scholars say that Jesus is most likely born in early September. Some people argue it could be early to mid September. Some people say it could be September 11th, and there might be significance to that. I don't know. That's theory, and so is this. But it's educated. It's an educated kind of heads up. I wouldn't be surprised if something went down, whether it's a terrorist attack by a Muslim against Muslims in FF. And sometimes you don't know if that's the thing that, and that's part of the why FFs are so, um, that's part of the reason why FFs are so like, uh, what's the word? Well, I guess just useful, and why they confuse people, because there'll be a real attack, and right away the first question on the truth community, was it an FF? Right? I mean, that's what we all think, right? And it's the first question everyone asks, is it an FF? Now, as far as like, shootings and people saying that they're hoaxes, um, I'm not in that camp. I'm sorry. I'm just not. Like I've heard that the Boston Marathon was a hoax. I can tell you a hoax meaning like it didn't even. I can tell you 110%. And they said the victims weren't even real. One was from China. I can tell you something. If you guys want to look it up, you can. If you don't want to take my word, but it's real. I was actually not like very good friends, but definitely good friends because our mothers grew up together in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and then we went to I need to be careful. Anyways, I went to school with her, one of the victims, Crystal Campbell. Okay, so I went to school with Crystal Campbell. All right, the redheaded victim, the really pretty girl. I went to school with her. We were very good friends, like when we were younger, because our mothers were best friends growing up. So we were always together when we were young. Now, once we got older, I kind of took one route, she took another. And when people die, everyone would say, "Oh, they were suddenly they're a saint," and sometimes they really were. Most of the time, they were, okay sometimes, but had their moments where they weren't such a good person. And a lot of times, they just straight up weren't good people. But we always say, "Oh, they were such good people." Well, I'll tell you, Crystal Campbell was a great person. She would give the shirt off her back to a homeless man. She was so kind. I really mean that. And it's not just because she passed. It's not just because she passed in such a horrible way. All right. So when I heard like that the Boston Marathon was like the victims weren't real and all that. It makes me sick and it makes me embarrassed to be part of the truth community. Now, I understand sometimes we're going to get things wrong because there's certain things that we're just never going to know for a fact. So we're only left to our own devices to kind of guess and make assumptions. So I understand that. But at the same time, you know, saying that people aren't dead when they are, you know, and it's not like, she was paid. And trust me, just so you know, the Boston Marathon was real. The victims were real. And anytime you hear somebody saying otherwise, please direct them to my channel to speak to me directly. And hopefully I can change their mind. Now, back to the topic. Like I said, so Ramadan, I would be on high alert, alert, alert. For those of you who have been around for a little bit, you understand that joke. But this time, yeah, this would be a time where I'd say alert, alert, and it's going to be, I'd watch out for today, this evening, tomorrow. So that's one thing. The next thing, just give me one. I am back. Okay, so like the proof of the outage and all that, I would suggest Drop's video. He had a very informative video with multiple visuals of the outage. Now, um, this is what I see when I see that. It wasn't just YouTube. It was Snapchat. It was basically anything under the Google cloud because one of the reasons that Google probably did this, had this outage, I think it was on purpose, is because the day before, the government, I want to make sure I word this, I don't know the exact, but the government basically started a probe into antitrust or something like that with Google. So they started this probe, and then the next day, YouTube goes down, Snapchat goes down, all these apps that we use go down. And it turns out that all of these apps went down due to the Google cloud going down. So one would put two and two together and say, hey, the government announces that they're going to do a probe into Google and something about antitrust. Some of you might know more about that than me, but that's what the government said they were doing 3 days ago, actually. And then yesterday, wait, I'm getting like my days because honestly, like there's been so much. But when everything went down, it was at I think 12:36 Eastern time, and everything went down. It wasn't just YouTube, like I said, it was a bunch of different apps. I guess the second biggest one would be Snapchat. Down due to the Google Cloud going down. Now, I saw reports that it was hacked, and maybe that's what Google would want you to think. I'm buffering right now. Yes, exactly. So Google's obviously trying to cover something up. I mean, that's the conclusion I think anyone would come to. And, they would, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of put something out there, try to make it look like they were attacked, or if YouTube, any kind of video talking about Google getting attacked, those videos might be recommended. I don't know. But that's what they want. They don't want people to put. I'm pretty surprised at them, really. I mean, but that tells me that it was urgent and that they didn't expect the government to do this. They maybe had some assurances that those people who made the assurances just don't have. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, just don't have the power that they used to be able to yield anymore, and that there's some new sheriffs in town in certain areas, and some power has shifted. And because to go after Google, that's a big deal. You don't go after Google unless you have some pretty damning evidence with so yeah, if you don't have some, sorry, I was just reading the text. If you don't have some pretty damning evidence. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, you can watch the last two videos. My computer was attacked, and there was some misunderstanding. So, my computer was attacked before. I bought a brand new computer before. It was attacked. The BIOS, same thing. But well, that's what I assume this is. The BIOS was burned. I'm gonna find out from my friend. He's gonna let me know. That was attacked. I was told the BIOS chip was fried or something like that after 6 days of having it. And then right there on the spot, I was able to get another computer that was new as well. That one went down. And then he told me that he couldn't give me another computer. Now, I'm going to go back, and because now that, some of you had mentioned it, I'm going to be like, well, regardless, shouldn't you guys still, like I'm not doing it, so shouldn't you guys have to still give me, a new computer? I mean, it's only been 2 months. So I'm going to at least try. But this computer that I have now, I bought it, but it was a place called Micro Center in Cambridge, and it was highly recommended. It's actually a great place, despite the result. It's not their fault that I was attacked. I'm telling you, I was attacked. I had too big of a mouth the night before in that video. And I started talking about how I was about to drop these huge stories and how there's just one particular story that a lot of people are getting wrong and they're missing a huge link. And I bragged way too much. And literally, the next day, I opened my computer and it won't boot. And you guys watch live and I'd like to thank Tabby for having the patience and taking the time to go through every possible step to try to fix it. But yeah, that was direct evidence that I've been under attack. Although the other two computers are brand new, this one's not brand new. Some people were kind of led to believe that because of how I told the whole story. But no, my third computer isn't brand new, but it was like refurbished. It was like a refurbished computer, like basically like they put it together. And it was, I didn't have much money, so it was a good price. So I got it. Um, Now the good news is I do have an HP notebook. Now it doesn't belong to me, but it's here, and I'm supposed to return it to the school. They gave it to me as a donation, but not to keep forever. But I still have it. So I still have an HP notebook, but the problem was the reason I never brought it back to the school was my daughter. She put her toy like on the keyboard, and then she always tried to imitate me, so she shut it. And when she shut it, she didn't crack the screen, but the interior of it, it's all like black, like as if it's cracked. It's kind of like if like you smash your phone, it doesn't crack, but the screen turns black on the top half. So it's like that. So when I brought it back to Micro Center, he goes, listen, there's no refunds or warranty or anything like that on the HP. And then so because I called the school and I asked them, what should I do? And they asked me to bring it to Micro Center, and they said, yeah, well, you don't have. I said, well, yeah, I got it from a donation. And he said, there's nothing I can do for you. He said, to be honest with you, to fix that, you'd be better off buying another one. But he did tell me about some cord, and maybe somebody can help me out with this. About a cord. It's like the cord that I'll show you guys. Olivia, you mind if we look at this? Where's your pants? She always takes her pants off. All right, so this one, this one here. I think that's the one. Although, wait, this one might not even have it. This one might not even have it. It's like this, but there's like there's two like things you turn on each side. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's like that, but on each side there's two like cylinders, and you can kind of like tighten them. You know what I mean? You like tighten on each side of it, and it's like a big, a big, and basically it's like an adapter, and I can plug it from the HP notebook I have with the screen that's all messed up into a TV. And before, I didn't have a new enough TV. Well, I bought a TV not too long ago, so this should have the connection that I need. And basically, I would be able to, do everything I used to do. Um, I mean, I don't even know what I'm looking for, but I'll have to go there and ask them unless you guys have. So here's what I have in the back of my TV. But this is a brand new TV.
Right, and as you let it go, it'll start to thicken and you'll taste it. But you get to eat it while you're making it. That's like the best part. So I always tell people,
you guys can see
I'm
that.
not eating, I'm tasting.
Oh, yeah.
The underneath
Beef
there.
is cooked already, though, right?
This beef was already cooked because we wanted to get it kind of moving along.
I don't know. Those look like
So a
HDMI.
little bit of
I don't know what this is. It says Oh, it's a USB. Oh, maybe that's all I needed was a USB.
So it all
I think that's what it was. I think it's that big cable with the things on each side. That would go into the HP notebook, and like a USB or something like that on the other side goes into the TV. And then, I turn the computer on, and basically the TV would be my screen. And I could just do everything that I would normally do. It would be an inconvenience, but in other ways, it would be kind of cool. You know what I mean? I have a huge screen, and I'm sitting there. I don't know. That is right now my best solution outside of buying another computer. Because as far as this computer, I mean, unless I hear otherwise from my friend, it seems like, um, that this hard drive is fried. But I was kind of told that you can always get information from a hard drive. It might be difficult, but because there's some information I really want on there, um, I'm gonna try to get it off there. So that's going on with that. And then so we talked about Ramadan, high alert, not just from a Muslim, but from someone against a Muslim, or from an FF to make either of those appear to be the case. Right? We covered that. And that's from today, tonight, tomorrow. And there's more. I have more stuff, by the way. Then we talked about, well, my computer. And then we talked about Google, which is huge because is what caused the Google Cloud is what caused the outage of YouTube and all that. And I would suggest Drop's video to learn more about. No, I don't remember what his take was on the whole cause. I just remember like I kind of like caught it like a quote, like I didn't catch like the first like minute or two, so maybe he said it then. But he was like showing like all these different graphics showing the outage. So like proof of the outage, I would go to Drop's channel. Um, and then, but as far as what caused the outage, it was the Google Cloud. Now, was the Google Cloud attacked? Do you guys think the Google Cloud is easy to attack? I'm sure that people have tried. I'm sure that people have been even successful once or twice. Or, there might be some example somebody could give me. But it's a little bit fishy that it happens right after. All right, hold on, guys. I'm getting a text from somebody who I'm surprised isn't in chat. Sorry, someone just kept texting me, and I almost want to read their text. It seems like it's important. And then the last one was like, "All right, you know what? You must be at work and this and that." But I don't have work today, so. All right. Yeah, you want me to light the candle? Oh, no, you don't touch. Right here. Okay? Leave it there. Yeah, that's for Vovo. No, that's it. No. Oh, you just wanted to blow it out. Okay. Yay! Sorry, guys. Trying to multitask. Okay, so, all right, so Google. If you're telling me that the U.S. government is probing Google for antitrust something, okay, which blew my mind that they were doing that because, I mean, they have questioned Google, they have, subpoenaed them to come in and answer questions. Sorry, I have no idea what just happened. Olivia, no, no, yeah. Okay, so if you're telling me, yeah. Okay, so if you're telling me, so it should stop buffering now. It should be good. I don't know what just happened. I must have said something, but I mean, I'm sure I don't have to beat this dog to death. I think you guys get it. 3 days ago, the government announces that um, they are starting a probe into Google. Something about antitrust, and somebody in chat. I can't read all your messages as I'm doing this, but you can maybe explain to everybody what like the antitrust is all about. But something about antitrust. But I know they're doing a probe into Google, and I know what that means, and I know that is not something that Google would want, considering their work with China, considering the way that they shadow ban, considering the reason why some YouTube channels have to, they can't even say the names of countries. I mean, it's ridiculous. We are free. And like my man Monty says, if you cannot speak freely, you are simply not free. All right. Does it sound like we like the First Amendment when, with the technology we have to like not say a word and we can't say this word and anyone who does that, I don't blame them that they do that because they're being forced to. Me, I refuse to. I'll say FF. I won't. I'm not dumb enough to say that word, but I refuse to censor myself like on a constant basis. I just refuse to. In any form or fashion, I refuse to censor myself, and probably to my own detriment. But I didn't fight for my country so that when I go online and I try to talk to other people, I can sit there and be like, "Oh, so yeah, the NZ was with the and wink wink, yeah yeah," like talking in friggin' code. When you can't just talk to each other as Americans about current events and the corruption in our government and the corruption around the world and the banking systems that have been just crippling this world, and in some ways they kind of help the world, but in the end it's all about power, and absolute power absolutely corrupts, and that's so true. You never let one person have all the power, ever. That's the whole point of our government, checks and balances, because absolute power absolutely corrupts. The closest I've seen to a man who had absolute power, who didn't, I mean, he's still corrupted, but, he did a lot of good things, was Gaddafi. I mean, his people lived rent free. They had all the food they wanted. They didn't have to pay for rent. You know what I mean? They didn't have to pay for electricity. They had all this stuff. He built this amazing system to bring water, to bring oil, the pipelines. He had all this set up. All right, he refused, but then he made his biggest mistake, but at the same time, a very ballsy thing that if everybody had balls like him, and I'm not like sitting there like, admiring Libya, but I give respect where it's due. When a man does the right thing, even though it's dangerous, all right, and the most dangerous thing he did, but right, was refuse to work with the central banking. Okay, just like Saddam Hussein, and we know what happened to him. All right. I mean, I mean, think of his legacy. How he's going to be remembered. He's going to be remembered as that guy with the beard that came out of the spider hole. And I remember the day we captured him. I was in the Chow Hall. I was actually in school, in crypto school, and everyone started cheering, and I'm like, "What's going on?" Like that doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like the biggest event is everyone gets up and gets that attention because like an admiral walks in. But yeah, so everyone was cheering, and it turns out the news came down even before it came in the media that Saddam had been captured, and then we hung him. And I'm not saying he was a good guy. I mean, he was horrible. He was a smart guy, but he was a horrible guy. I mean, when he took power, do you guys see that video when he sits down and he goes, you, and he goes, you, and then he goes, and then what did he say? How did he do it? He goes, or you die, or your family dies, or something like that. So then he gives another name. He would have to like give up someone else, and that person would have to give. It was unbelievable. It was just that was like one of the most unbelievable, like in one swoop, taking all the power for the Ba'ath Party as he did. But Saddam, he also was against the central banking. And you know what? When we make out people to be villains, outside of Osama, who believe it or not was actually, American educated and like I believe even Ivy League, but all right, so he wasn't like a dummy. Um, I mean, obviously, but Gaddafi, he did some great things for his people. He really did take care of his people. So when he would not go to central banking, it came out that he had a plan and he had a lot of gold. And what he was doing, he was making a lot of money for his country, and able to, and he shared it. Everybody lived so good, and he was kept on purchasing gold, and he had oil, and central banking saw a problem. So what happens? In the words of Hillary Clinton, we came, we saw, he died. Well, a little bit more to he died. It was more like, you know, you went, you corrupted, you caused Benghazi, and basically, you eventually caused Benghazi and U.S. Navy SEALs to die while they were fighting them off, and they were probably shot like 5 times and all their limbs, and they keep fighting. It's amazing what a Navy SEAL can do, and they'll just keep fighting expecting help on their way because we're the United States of America. We have technology where we'll have help on the way in a second, especially with an embassy under attack and Navy SEALs and an ambassador and all that. No, no help came. And guess where they got the weapons to overthrow the embassy? Yeah, you guessed it. Hillary and Obama. And this isn't just like anti-Hillary Obama crap. Sometimes I kind of get sick of that, where it's just like everything's Hillary Obama's fault. But this particular thing, Benghazi, absolutely was their fault. They armed them. They gave them the arms, and they used those arms. They knew what they would do. And what happened to Gaddafi, the man who was so good to his people? Well, he was sodomized to death. They stuck. I mean, and they let live video go out all over the world. They filmed it. There's video. You can get it. All right. They beat him up, but mostly they were kind of like stabbing him. But what was really the cause of death was the knives. Like these sword type knives going up his butt over and over and over. All right. That's how he met his end. I mean, you could see in his face, it's like beyond pain. It's like, what's above pain? It's just like, you know, and it's just sick. And what do you think, that they just did that after he did all that for them? No, no, of course not. They did it because the CIA obviously created some cell and they arm some people and you pay off some people And you know, as long as you do it just right, they know exactly how to take down a country and its leader. We our government, if nothing else, is amazing at overthrowing governments. Amazing at it and making it look like a good thing for the world. And doing that to Gaddafi was not a good thing for the world. I'm sorry. He never did one. What did he ever do wrong? I mean, there might be some stuff. Um, you know, there might be some stuff that he's done, like a couple things. But, you know, sometimes a leader does have to kind of put his foot down. I mean, in America, we have such power that our leaders can be gracious. But if you're a leader in, like, the Middle East, they don't respect someone like that. You know, they would respect someone like Trump. And Trump, you know what he would have to do? He would have to, like, take Hillary, like, in the town square and behead her or something. I don't know. You're an executor. You know what I mean? Like, that's how they do things. I mean, we're actually probably the most ruthless of all the countries, but we, like, hide it in a way. Whereas, you know, in other countries, presidents, you know, they kind of have to show that iron fist, like Saddam did, in order to rule that country. Um, I kind of went off track, but that's just some stuff that I wanted to talk about that was related to other things we were talking about. What's wrong, baby? All right, so, all right. All right, so I'm going to put on a cartoon for her so I can give you guys the next piece of information. We're not done. We're not even close to done. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot some very important stuff. Okay, so this was reported at 2:30 in the morning last night. All right, so just as I was getting off, no pun intended. Trust me, it's been a long time. uh, excuse my joke. There's ladies in the room. I'm sorry. Okay, but anyways, last night when I finished, well, that doesn't work either. Whatever. Okay. Um, so last night, the banks, three banks went down on the East Coast. Um, and I think it was Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Well, definitely Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Oh, man, I forget see. This is why I hate not having the computer. I have just the phone. You know, I gotta do it off the top of my head. But you know, but anyways, two of the three were Bank of America and Wells Fargo, and they went down on the East Coast. Now they're back up as of now. I know that because I had to check mine today. I was there today. I'm not going to tell you which bank, but now you can narrow it down to two. You can narrow down my bank to two. I'm basically like doxing myself in this video. Anyways, so those banks went down mysteriously. Um, it's just weird. All these, so we got all these things going, and then also, 911 went down in Boot County. Am I pronouncing that right? Boot. It's spelled like Buddy or Butte, you know, but I think it's Boot County. Butte. Um, yeah, it's fine now, Kellyanne. But last night at 2:30, all three banks were down. I'm not sure when they came back up, but they were all down last night. That's for sure. I had two different people tell me that, and they had like screen captures of it and everything. So those banks were down temporarily last night around 2:30 in the morning, and then I don't know when they came back up, but I know that they're back up. So you have so basically the first thing I guess would be the government probing Google. Then the Google Cloud goes down, most likely on purpose, right? Which causes YouTube to go down, and you know Snapchat and other things. Then in the middle of the night, they closed down the three biggest banks because the third bank was like, what are the three biggest banks? I guess it would be Bank of America, Wells Fargo, I don't know. What's the third? I don't know. Whoever the third, Chase. I'm not sure, but basically three of the biggest, if not the biggest banks, go down last night temporarily. Temporary, like they went down. It's almost like they maybe had to do some fixing, and I don't know. Maybe they had to do something. Maybe that's just maybe it just really just went down. But the reason why I'm willing to actually say that, because I'm not the type to just kind of go out, and you guys know I don't do fair porn. I don't like just make crap up to get views, and I don't do this for money. I do this to spread truth and to wake people up, because it's just really sad. I live in Massachusetts, so some of you guys may live in places where they're more like enlightened as far as what's really going on in the world. Whereas in Massachusetts, we're supposed to actually be the most enlightened state in the union, right? In the whole republic, we should be the most enlightened state due to the education and Harvard, MIT, and I was born there where Harvard and MIT are, and I got a great education at a public school. I didn't take advantage of it, but I was really good at sports, so I could have went to a Division 1, very very nice school, Northeastern. But then of course 9/11 happened. I did my duty. But anyways, in Massachusetts, it's amazing. I mean, it's because they just like hate Trump so much that that's all that they're focused on. And so there's not that many truthers in Massachusetts. There really isn't. There's some. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like all the guys from the old neighborhood are either dead from an overdose because drugs hit Massachusetts really hard in the early 2000s, and then it just got worse and worse and worse. Um, I would say it got worse and worse and worse until like 2016, and then it's just kind of like flatlined. Like it's been just about that bad since, but it's not really going up. New Hampshire's going up though. It's getting bad, worse in New Hampshire with the drugs. And it's kind of that's another thing. Purdue Pharmacy, right? I'm so right now. So I know I'm kind of all over the place, but that was kind of the whole idea of this video. I'm gonna put out a lot of information. Okay, so another one, the Sackler family, which is one of the wealthiest families in this country. I mean, their collective net worth, known net worth, which is a very important word to put in there, their collective known net worth is 13 billion. That's a lot of money. They're worth more than the Rockefellers. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. I mean, that blew my mind. I was like, what? They're worth more than the Rockefellers. And the thing that makes them unique is not just that they're amongst the wealthiest families, but all the wealthiest families in this country, the elite, basically the ones who are behind all of this suffering, and they all have some they all like have they claim to be a philanthropist to help people, but it's just washing money, and kind of they have their tactics, and it's all bullshit. That's why I never donate anywhere unless it's like straight to the source. You know what I mean? If you're gonna donate something, you go straight to the source. Or you know what? Sometimes you can't even trust the source. Like even like you go to a veteran place, like that a place that helps veterans. Yeah, they need money, but let the state fund them. Don't give them the money because I'm telling you, all the time. It happens all the time, and this is just the people who get caught. Whoever's running it, they end up slipping, and it turns out they've been stealing, like 33% of the donations, and you know what I mean? Sometimes like half. It's crazy. They're always dipping into that. I mean, think about it. Imagine you had like an unlimited amount of money just sitting there, and there's no one above you that's watching you 24/7. You know, you want to show off to some young cute girl, and You know, you want to have some nice you're gonna dip your hand into it, because guess what? You're not making that money because you're doing charity work, and yes, you're making, like a wage, but you're making just enough, like let's say like 40,000 a year. You're making something like that. So, but yet there's like $100,000 just sitting there, and you know that you could, as long as you take it in small increments and do it in a smart way, you could kind of like each time, you put those funds into use, you can take a certain percentage for yourself. Come on, people get corrupted so easily. That's why if you're gonna donate, go straight to the source. Find a veteran on the street. Make sure he's sober. All right. Seriously, because if you just go to anyone on the street, chances are that money is just gonna go into some illegal immigrant drug dealer hands. And you know what? That might be insensitive to say, but like I've told you guys before, I've lived it. I've lived in the belly of the beast, the worst neighborhood in New England, and I'm telling you, it was like a very organized drug ring they had going, where they have the guys in the street that serve the people on the street. Then they have a bunch of cars that illegal immigrants drive, and they just deliver, outside of Worcester to the suburbs, and they'll do deliveries. And I used to, path. I've been sober 5 years, but a long time ago, we used to call them runners, and they would take a long time. There'd be pains in the ass, fucking things like that. Sometimes they give you a free one, shit like that. But it's just a way of getting you to keep coming. Um, and it's very organized. And right now, as far as in Massachusetts and New York, which is where it comes from, after it comes from Chicago, and before that, Mexico, and before that, Afghanistan. If you want to know how it really goes, all right, all right. So that's kind of the ring. So when I say, I'm telling you, when I say like when you buy drugs anywhere in New England, I mean, if someone could back me up here, it is literally an illegal immigrant that doesn't speak English, and they're just like, hey, Poppy, Poppy, hey, Poppy. But they're low level. Then there's the like the mid level. They collect that money, this and that, make sure they keep them in line. I had a friend of mine who tried to rob his dealer. His dealer pulled out a knife. They fought, and then the dealer just drove away. Now he didn't stab the dealer. They fought. He was just fighting to keep the guy from stabbing him, and he ended up getting the drugs and he robbed him. I met this guy. Um, you'll find out why I was there. I ended up being found innocent because I was innocent. But in Massachusetts, they throw you in jail until they figure it out. So I went to county jail for a little bit, and I met him there, and he told me his story. And this guy, it wasn't bullshit. I could tell it was real, and there was a Spanish guy who knew about it. And word was that the runner was killed by the mid level guy for getting robbed, because he was successful in robbing him. He was successful. That's what they call runners. Yeah, he was successful in robbing this guy. So when he goes, he calls his boss, who's really a mid level guy. He goes, "Okay, Poppy, come meet me. Come meet me. We'll take care of this guy. We take care of this guy." And he killed him. He stabbed him. And I bet you the guy probably told him the whole story. He goes, and he took the drugs, and then he had, and then I tried. He's like I tried to, I pulled out my knife. I was trying to stab him, and this guy must have thought he was smart because he used that information. Now he has that info, and knowledge and information is power, as Tabby would say. And I love that. It's true. Knowledge and information is power. In this situation, it was power. And it was enough power to take that man's life and get away with it. And the guy who robbed him gets blamed with it. In fact, he stayed with the dead body. Okay? He must have like had gloves on or something. So he stays with the dead body, calls the cops. He goes, I just found this guy dead. Oh, you just found him? Like, what do you mean? Like, he works for you. Like, so I don't know how the cops like didn't see through this one, but he calls the cops. He says he finds the guy dead, and they look through the phone. The last phone number, of course, was actually no. The last phone number was him, and he said it's my cousin. That's what he said. He said it's my cousin, and the phone number before that was, the guy I met. And he was like he was like an older Italian guy, like 58 years old. He used to work for NASCAR, like on one of like the crews that put the tires on really fast. He was very interesting and a very like really nice guy. And trust me, he didn't do it. I've met murderers, many of them. Not the type that kill, under orders. I'm talking the people that kill in cold blood. I've met them. I've slept next to them, and I know how they are. This guy is not a murderer. Trust me, this guy was not a murderer. So this is just a story. I just figured I'd tell it because it's interesting. It kind of adds to what I'm saying. So what happened was then the police go to him, and they arrest him. He goes, "What am I getting arrested?" He thinks he's getting arrested for robbing this guy. You know what I mean? Of drugs. And they said murder. He goes, what? And then he starts thinking, like, when we were fighting, did it like slit his throat? Or he starts like believing it. He's like, and I'm surprised the police didn't pick up on that, but maybe they thought he was bullshitting. And I guess that they actually, when he had a chance at one point when they were booking him, he grabbed a pen. Sorry. And he stuck it in his neck trying to kill himself because he was like scared of going to jail for the rest of his life for murder in a county where the majority of the jail is Hispanic. It's a Hispanic county in Massachusetts, Worcester County. And the majority of the jail is, Hispanic. And they're not all illegal, but a lot of them are, like, a lot. And they don't even, Massachusetts is one of the places, sanctuary cities. It doesn't matter. So anyways, you can basically tell who they are by if they can speak the language or not. That's not saying that if you can't speak English, automatically you're, I just feel like I had to put disclaimers all the time. But it's just reality, all right? So anyways, so this guy, he went to jail for this. And his lawyer ended up trying to fight it and all this crap. But it's so funny that people don't realize how much power is in jail. Now, if anyone's ever been a CO, you know that. COs like have the illusion of running the jail. But in reality, they don't want a life of just constant chaos. So because of that, the prisoners really do run the jails, sadly. It's prison politics. You eat with your own race. You do all that. And I played the politics because if you don't, you don't have any backup and you are a target. And you can't appear weak. I would at night, I would put the sheet over my head and I would cry. Not because I was scared, but because I miss my family, I miss my girl, Amanda, we were together at the time. I missed her. I just keep reading her letters. I miss my mother. I was in there for 6 months, something I didn't do. I had somebody stay over my house and they robbed my landlord. And the truth ended up coming out because they ended up getting found with all her jewelry and all her stuff. And my story matched up and their story didn't. And that's when they figured out, oh shit, we got the wrong guy in jail. I still lost the apartment. I still lost all my furniture in there. I still did 6 months for no reason. And that's how Massachusetts is. You're guilty until proven innocent. They throw you in jail. They put a ridiculous bail. And that's just how it is. So it's like I let these people live in my house because they had nowhere to stay. But I should have known better that they told me we're sober, we've been doing good, we just don't have a place to sleep. All this stuff. I felt bad. They were a little bit younger than me. I felt bad for them. I used to work with the boyfriend, and the girl. She was like very young. She was like 19. I mean, this happened when I was like, this happened like 7 years ago. So I was like, 27, something like that. The guy was like 23. She was 19. But I just felt bad for them. I said, you know what? For 2 weeks, you can stay. I have an extra bedroom. You can stay there. So of course they found a way to. It was like a basement apartment, and then the woman had her house above me. They found a way to pick the lock and rob her blind. And of course, I'm like, I look like an idiot when all of a sudden, like, I come home, there's all these police there, and the way to get in to her apartment, the way they got in, and the way the forced entry was through my apartment. And I walk in, I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, what are you fucking kidding? They were really rough because actually her family was connected, of course, with law enforcement, and her brother was a judge. So, yes, I went straight to jail. Do not stop it, go. For something I didn't do. This is all part of the testimony I'm going to give, and there's all proof of all of it, by the way. Um, I shouldn't have to give proof, but it's like just my life has just been so crazy, and so many weird things have happened. Medically, criminally, military, just there's so many different things. Like, it's unbelievable. Street stuff, organized crime, connection, all kinds of crap. So, anyways, yeah, so I did those 6 months. That guy never killed him. The guy he worked for killed him. And he went to jail. Just like I was in jail for something I didn't do. So, just because, don't judge somebody until you know the whole story. Yeah, I think is the moral of that story. But it's crazy. I mean, and these guys, they have a very they through fear, if they catch one of the runners, let's say, and they got, 20 bags of heroin, they go down, and that's it. That's like the rules. It's like, listen, you can make a lot of money with me, but if you go down, you go down. Well, first of all, they double bag them all so that they can swallow it, and they try to not have. So sometimes it's a pain in the ass because they'll be like, "Oh, I'm all out," like right away they'll be out because they want to only have enough that they can swallow. If you have 20 and you get pulled over, you're like, you're not gonna get it all down, So they might carry, I don't know, 8, 10, something like that. You know what I mean? And that's why they don't like doing small, like 20s. They like doing the bigger amounts, like a gram or something like that. But yeah. So that's what they do, and it has decimated a generation. Now, the reason that they have all this power with the heroin goes back to what I was talking about, the Sackler family. Now, the Sackler family, like I told you guys, they are unique compared to the other families. And I know it feels like I'm jumping around, but I'm not. It's all tied in. They are like unique when it comes to the elites because usually the elites come from old money. You know, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Mellons. Oh, also, they're richer than the Mellons as well. For those of you who know the Mellons, um, all the Bushes. I mean, I guess they're one of them. You know, I mean, they're more like power than wealth, but they have wealth, big time. Trust me. Maybe not on the level of the Sacklers, but now what makes them unique, the Sacklers, was that they were in the pharmaceutical business, and they had a company called Purdue Pharmacy. Now, it might have just rang a bunch of bells in a bunch of your heads because there's been a lot of talk about them lately. Well, Purdue Pharmacy, and by the way, there's a like a class action lawsuit, um, and I'm actually part of it. Um, there's like this group where I live. It's blank, where I live against against addiction. And so, we try to help people and educate them and, get people off drugs and, because there's a lot of resources. Um, but to be honest, and I tell people this too, like when I'm helping them, unless like there's, unless they just haven't tried rehab yet and they just, they need to try that stuff first. But if you're a long term addict, the only way you're going to get clean is if you just literally one day say, fuck it. I'm done. I'm done. People calling it hit rock bottom, but I don't know. I hit rock bottom and then I kind of hung around rock bottom and the floor fell out and I hit another bottom and I hit another bottom and then I hung out there for a little bit. I don't know about hitting rock bottom. Sometimes hitting rock bottom just simply destroys you. When I got clean, I had almost died. So maybe I was rock bottom. A lot of stuff was going on. This is, like 5 years and 2 months ago. So like 5 and 1/6 of a year. Um, so anyways, when I got clean, honestly, I had almost died, not from an overdose, but from an infection. They took half my lung. It was MRSA. It got in my heart, my lungs, my blood, sepsis, in my heart, endocarditis, in my lungs were full of it. And they said, you're dying. And I wasn't even going to go to the doctors. I had an abscess, and I knew I had to get that taken care of eventually. But then, like, I was having shortness of breath, and I wouldn't have went to the hospital, but Amanda ended up talking me into it, and I'm like, all right, whatever, I'll just go, just because I got this abscess, so I'll have to get that taken care of. Well, that abscess ended up, I didn't know, I wasn't educated. I didn't know that if you don't treat the abscess in time, it will get into your bloodstream, sepsis. It'll go through all your blood. It'll eventually make it to your heart, and your heart will get covered with it, especially MRSA. I mean, MRSA is the like fastest growing, most lethal bacteria that there is. Period. I mean, there might be something in the Amazon I'm forgetting, but realistically, MRSA is the worst by far. I was quarantined and everything. And the odds were against me. I would say most likely going to die at that point. So it goes through. The reason they knew that it was in my heart is the only way it can get to your lungs is through your heart. So it must have, from the extremity to the heart, and then every time it pumped, it would push bacteria into my lungs. So as it's pushing all this bacteria into my lungs, it's filling up. I'm getting shortness of breath. Little do I know, I'm slowly dying. So I go to the ER. She comes back to me, like her face was like holy shit, and I'm like, what's up? Like we hadn't even talked yet. They just what's it called? Took a chest X-ray because they thought it was pneumonia. And so, did I say that wrong? Pneumonia? Pneumonia. I always say pneumonia, but yeah, and I don't think that's right. Anyways, So she said, "Do you have cancer?" I said, "No." She was like, "In particular, like lung cancer?" I said, "No, not that I know of, at least." I was like, "Do I have cancer?" She's like, "No, no, I'm not saying you have cancer, but you have all these like things, like nodes, like we don't know what they are. Just with simply with an X-ray, we can't tell." So then they did an MRI. They still couldn't tell what they were. But just in case, of course, they had me on antibiotics and all that. So they already had me on the IV antibiotics, and that's probably what saved my life. Is that instead of waiting and finding out that it's not cancer and it's not whatever else they thought it might be, and it was actually MRSA. I mean, something that like it spread so quickly, which is why I went from abscess to shortness of breath to almost dying so quickly, because it's once you get it, it spreads. Um, and so luckily, this doctor saved my life really by putting me on antibiotics right away. And I think that she did it more so because of the abscess than the abscess from using drugs. In case you're wondering, um, basically like my life of doing drugs was always sniffing them. But the last like year and a half, I did something I told myself I'd never do. I always said I'll never. Yeah, I get high here and there, but I'll never, ever, ever shoot it. I'll never do that. Well, they always say at the end of that sentence, say yet. I'll never do that yet. I'll never do drugs yet. They always say that, and it's true because eventually I did it. And once you do it once, nothing really matches that feeling. So, you know, I still would, but I would even though I did it that way, I would do it like 1 out of 5 times. Like the other 4 times I'd sniff it. I was too scared of dying, really, to be honest. Because I did overdose twice, and one of the times I was dead. Actually, technically, both times I was dead. Like not breathing, but one of the times I was like out for a while. And what's crazy is when you wake up, you don't realize it. And all I knew, I was like, "Oh, my chest hurts." I was like, "What happened?" And the nurse is there. I was like, "I gotta get my mother's car back to her." She's like, "Do you understand that you were dead for like, I forget how many seconds or whatever?" And I was like, "What?" And I thought she was just saying try to scare me. This is a whole nother story, but I'll save all this stuff for my what's it called? When I tell my life story, which I'm looking forward to doing. Um, anyway, so back to this. So they come back and I don't want to make this too long. So okay, so they come back and they tell me, that after the MRI, then the blood tests come back and they said you have a bacteria called MRSA, and right then I knew what it was, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, how could I get that?" I was like, I only heard of that like when I was in jail. That's the first time I heard about MRSA, and like, cause in jail it's like a huge worry. That's why like when you take a shower, like you have to be so careful. You always wear shower shoes. When you go to the bathroom, you put the shower shoes on your buttocks because you never want your skin to touch anything in that place. So, that's how they do it. You put the shower shoes on your butt and sit down. See, now, the first time I went, I didn't know that. I sat on the toilet and somebody was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you an idiot? Give him some shower shoes. Someone teach this white boy." And they called the white leader and he came and he taught me. That's how you learn. That's how it is. You have to sit on your shower shoes. You have one. Eventually somebody gets released, and you get their shower shoes, and you use that for going to the bathroom. And you take the part that makes it a sandal. You take that out, and you can use that for other purposes that I'm not gonna get into. But You just have the flat shoe and you sit on it while you go to the bathroom. And then, of course, when you're in the shower, you wear them so your feet don't touch anything. And you have to be very careful because you only have like the small, you can't touch the wall. Um, so that's at least how it was in my county. So, but that's the only time I ever heard of MRSA. And everyone was so scared of MRSA there. And the word was like, you get it. It's like, boom, this big thing in your skin, and then it spreads everywhere. So I was freaking out when they told me that, and they could kind of tell I was freaking out, and rightfully so. And then like they had like some specialists come in, and she was like very good at like being honest, but at the same time like giving you hope. And she goes, Matt, she goes, don't worry, you know what I mean? It'll be all right. And then she gave me like a dose of like anti-anxiety, and she was trying to talk me down. She goes, listen, listen. She goes, you're not out of the fight. She said, you're a veteran. You're not out of this fight. This might be what changes your life. You know, this might turn your life around. And I wish I remember the doctor's name. I've always wondered, like, what if I went back to her and talked to her with my daughter and told her, you know what? You know, at night when like I thought I was dying and was should have died, you were right. That's kind of what saved my life. That, and I made up my mind. I'm done. See, the thing is, you can go through that because I went through other traumatic stuff. You know, like the overdoses and other medical situations that you wouldn't even believe, but you will find out soon in the testimony. But you know, this particular situation, for some reason, it was just like, I am done. I am done. At that point, it was either get busy dying or get busy living. And I decided to live. And I'm happy I did. And the first 2 years were tough. Nobody trusted me, you know. Not that I was never like a thief. I never stole, especially from family. But they just didn't trust me, like, you know, that I was sober and on the right track. And but no, I mean, the only thing I did that someone could consider wrong was, you know, I took action on sports. You know, I was, you know, like bookie stuff. I did that. That's the worst of what I did, you know, and I don't consider that bad. In fact, it just became legal here in Massachusetts. So apparently the government doesn't either. Um, so, and then, you know, eventually I would call into the radio, and they were like fascinated with my accent because there's, I'm telling you, that's how gentrified Boston has become. When someone who's truly from one of their like inner city neighborhoods talks and has the real Boston accent, they're like, wow, that's a legit Boston accent. That shows you how overrun we have become with illegal immigrants, yuppies, and I mean, people who can afford rent at 3 to 4 thousand a month. I mean, the guys I grew up with, we can't afford that. They all moved to New Hampshire, California. Some of them are all like in suburbs, and like anyone in here, right? There's a few guys from Boston that are in here sometimes, and I knew one was like from Dorchester, and another one was from Quincy. Now he still might be able to live in Quincy, but as far as Dorchester, I would be very surprised if the other guy still is in Dorchester. I bet you would live somewhere else. You know, we all got pushed out. And like when you hear a real accent, even on a Boston sports radio station, they were like, wow. And they got used to me, and I kind of created this joke about, and it wasn't really a joke, I was serious, but it was funny. I said, there's a coup. The Patriots right now, there is a coup. And it's Brady and Gronk and his trainer against Belichick. And the owner, Kraft, who ended up getting found with the PP, I mean, not the PP, the prostitutes. But anyways, I was like, there is a huge division right now, and they are at war. And somebody's gonna come on top, someone's not. And the thing is, the story was true because they vetted it and everything, and they loved it. and I ended up calling it. I called it when I called it a coup. At first, like I was a little bit nervous, so I said Q. You know, I'm used to being on radio now, but at that point, I was like nervous, and I said, it's a Q. I mean, coup. And also subconsciously, I was following Q, so that's why I said it. Actually, no. I think at this point, Q hadn't came out yet, but I said Q instead of coup, and then I corrected myself, Q. But they wouldn't let me correct. They said, no, 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 no. It's a Q. Yeah, a Q, a palace Q. So that became the thing. Everyone called it Palace Q. And it's like every time I meet a cop or anybody, and they're like, wait, you're, and I say my name, and the way they do it is, what's your name and the city you live in? And whenever I tell them who I am, like, even one time when Amanda was getting arrested, he just by my voice, one of the cops goes, are you blank from blank? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, holy shit. He's like, I can't wait to tell my friend. So, it's kind of weird. Like in the past few years, especially the past year. I mean, since last summer, because last summer I interned for them and they liked me enough that they kept me on as an employee. And I've been working there since. So, but the thing is, I'm not like a regular. By the way, I'm changing my baby's diaper so that in case I'm kind of like not. I don't know. All right, Olivia, come on, don't make this difficult. Okay. All right, thank you. So it was great. I turned my light so that who would think at that point when I was dying on that bed that it would only take basically it took 2 years for me to like stop feeling normal again in my own skin. I thought it would never happen. I mean, to this day, I still have problems, not with drugs, but like with mental health. I mean, I have, VA confirmed PTSD. Um, I have TBI, which is traumatic brain injury, but I don't have it from the military, surprisingly. I have it from this one time. I was in a fight, and you know, a real man. I've been in enough fights that I can admit when I lose one, and I didn't like lose. I got him too. It was pretty even, but in the end, I ended up on the ground. Although I got some really good shots in, and I lost the fight. But apparently, his scumbag friend decided it wasn't enough, and he came behind me, and this is during the winter. You know what I mean? I'll never forget because we had to take off our winter coats, like we could see our own breath, and we just fought bare knuckle, and it was wicked cold that day. I remember that. And so then this guy came up from behind me with like legit like steel toe boots, and I'm just like I had just sat up and I'm facing the other way, and he booted me as hard as he could in the back of the head, and I just kind of like I just woke up on the ground, and I'll be honest, I got hit so hard. I don't know how long I was out. I shit myself, to be 100% honest. All right, he literally kicked the shit out of me. Oh, by the way, I ended up. I obviously I knew who it was because everyone knows everyone in that city. I found him alone and beat the fucking bag out of this kid. Seriously, like I normally I would let up. Like you win the fight, you don't keep hitting them. You know what I mean? Like that's like a scumbag thing to do. But I'm sorry to be talking about this kind of stuff, but I'm kind of just going with the flow. I changed their diaper. But anyway, so literally I wiped the floor with this kid. I mean, sometimes when you're like that angry, you get like a certain focus, especially if you're a military. You get a certain focus, and I had I got the drop on him. He didn't see it coming. I didn't square up with him like, all right, let's do it this the honorable way. Like fuck that. What the fuck? I'm not fighting to win a. I'm not at the end. I'm not gonna win a belt. You know what I mean? Like I'm fighting because you probably gave me some kind of brain damage. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely something that happened from that kick. Hold on. Olivia, stop. All right. How much would you put your diaper on if you're face down? Please. Come on, baby. Yeah, like that. Ready? And poof. All done. Yeah. Oh, you want the keys? All right. Ready? Let's go. Let's go. Come on, you can't be up here. Alright. I try to keep her face off cam. So anyways, I beat the bag out of that kid. But it doesn't matter. He got me, and I think that for the rest of I think that had some kind of effect on me. After that, like, the depression got worse. Certain things got worse. I was kind of like in a haze. I don't know. I'll never forget it because, it was. I've never been knocked out. Besides, like, boot camp, we used to choke each other out, like, on purpose. You know what I mean? We would choke each other out. Like, some kid from Oklahoma started it. And all the country boys are doing it to each other. And, we were all, it was kind of like at the beginning of boot camp. So we're all kind of, young, 18-year-olds. And, the stuff that they put in your food so that you can't become erect and they kill your testosterone. By the way, anyone, if your kids are going to the military or you're going to the military, while you're in, Claire, you had MRSA in your lungs. And yeah. See, you had it from pneumonia. I had it from an infection. Well, MRSA is an infection, so. But yeah, what was I saying? It was something that I wanted to make sure to get out there. If somebody is thinking about going in the military, first of all, let's be real, go Navy. Unless if they're eager to, if they want to be in the fight, they want to be infantry, and they want to train like that, go Marine Corps, which is the Department of the Navy. Now, Air Force is great for careers as well. I don't mean to leave the Army out. The Army is extremely important, and it just depends on what your child or yourself or your friend or whoever it is. Oh, that was the thing. I didn't go in like, I want to do this. You know what I mean? No, I just took the test, and I was very curious what they thought I should do. And when I took the test, apparently I did so well in certain areas, they thought I should have a top secret clearance and do a very repetitive job where I can recognize patterns, break codes, and be trustworthy. So that's what they found about me. And it's not like it was like a peacetime and all that. This was like everybody was on high alert because at this point, 9/11 had just happened. And we were just going, so they took it very serious who they were going to make a cryptologist. So I'm not trying to brag, by the way, guys, at all. Because, in the next breath, I'm talking about jail and, drug and all the bad stuff, too. So trust me, I'm not bragging. It's just I've been on the side. I've done some of the most amazing, most honorable, and kind of like was in the company of some of the most amazing people on earth. And I've also hung out with and truly cared about some of the most disenfranchised, in jail for life, murderers, rapists. Well, the rapists, they would get knocked off the pod one way or the other. Usually they would get beat up. That guy, there was one guy, he got beat so bad in the showers that he shit himself. And that's something that you learn in life. People don't talk about that. I heard they said it on Game of Thrones, and they were talking about how, yeah, when people die, they shit themselves. And I was like, yep. I was like, and not when they die, but when they get like really beat up really bad, like beating the shit out of somebody. That's like a legit thing. But this guy got it bad. He got it bad. But you know, that's what happens. You know, it's like your duty. Whereas like a female prison, child abuse. I'm talking real child abuse, not the fake DCF. You know, trying to control you and trying to control your life type of abuse. Like I'm talking real abuse. Like like actually like messing with a child. They're the ones who get it in a female prison. It's like a unsaid, unwritten code that everybody knows and everybody learns. Um, Sorry, it's cooking something for her. I'm such a great cook with my microwave. Anyway, yeah, as far as going in the military, you want to do it based on what you want to do for a career. Okay? If you're not sure about all that, well, break it down to the next step. Okay, you don't know what you want for a career. If you do know, that's great. Like my buddy, he knew that underwater welding was a gold mine as far as the jobs go, and that it would be an increased demand as time went on. He was very intelligent. I went in the buddy system with two people. One's dead from an overdose, and one is doing his dream job. He has a company for underwater welding, and he has so much money it's ridiculous. He legit lives. He has like 5 houses. He did the right thing, you know. Basically, when he left for the Navy, he never came back. He never came. I mean, he came back to visit, but you know what I mean. Like, he never came back to live. Oh, when his father died, he came back for a couple months, like 6 months or something. And we spent a lot of time together. And he's this small Asian guy, but we were like, he was like my second best friend. There's one guy that I was closer with, but other than him, he was my best friend. He was this like short Asian guy, and his last name was Tu. It was T-U. And me and him were in the same boot camp class, and when we met up, he like thanked me because at the time I wasn't doing good. I was doing bad stuff. He's like, man, what's wrong with you? He goes, you have so much potential. You're wasting your life. I'm like, I know. I don't need to hear it. I hear it all day. I don't need to hear it. But I did need to hear it. Hearing it from him, it was shame. It shamed me. It made me feel like, it definitely got to me, let's say. Olivia, you only open one banana, baby. Just one banana. And then we eat this, okay? Here. You want apple juice? Alright, yeah, he was telling me all that. But he has an underwater welding company. And it's ridiculous money that they make. And he actually, he started off doing underwater welding. And I'm assuming, he just kind of moved up and eventually started his own company. Or maybe he took over the company. Maybe he was able to buy it out. I don't know. But he was very smart with money. He was a drug dealer. Which brings me back to my point where I got off track. Okay, so the Sackler family. Seriously, this is what it all comes to. It all ties in. So the Sackler family. I told you, the reason they're one of the most wealthy, and a bunch of people already left the chat. They don't even get like the whole thing. So the reason that they're one of the most wealthy families is because they own Purdue Pharmacy. Okay? And Purdue Pharmacy, if you don't know, made OxyContin. Now, OxyContin was a drug for pain. And it could come in an extremely high milligram, like 80 milligrams was the highest. Now, there's myths of a 120 milligram pill, but that's just not OxyContin. That's something else, if it even exists. So, they had 80 milligram, 40 milligram, 20 milligram. They had all different milligrams. But here's the kicker. They they presented it to the doctors and they said, "Hey, we figured out a way to treat pain and have it not lead to addiction." Now, this is back in the 90s. So, I mean, there was some painkiller abuse and maybe a little bit of heroin abuse, but it really wasn't a thing. The 90s was like, basically, we ended up finding out that the U.S. government was bringing it in to Arkansas, mind you. That's how most of the cocaine was coming in on planes from Arkansas. All right, so that whole war on drugs is all bullshit. Literally all bullshit. And of course, you know who it affected? They ended up basically like making sure it's like for some reason every single major city across the country at the same time, before the internet and all this, we could just put out information like this. At the same time, everybody found out that they could turn cocaine into crack. Okay? You don't think that there was some human intelligence behind that? I mean, think about it. They're the ones responsible for bringing most of it into the country. I'm not saying they brought it all into the country. I'd be a fool to say that. Of course, like, the cartels smuggled stuff. But the thing is, they worked with the cartels. It was all about Panama and Bolivia and these kind of type of countries, and their currency was cocaine, and the U.S. government brought a bunch of cocaine to America, and a journalist uncovered that story, and yeah, he got killed. I'm pretty sure he got killed, and they made a movie about it. If you guys haven't seen it, but yeah, very shameful. It's a huge red mark on the U.S. government. And I remember, not like live because I was too young, but like I remember watching, after the fact, these black communities at City Hall just freaking out. They were so pissed. I mean, rightfully so, right? You find out that once that story was written and it came out and there was all this evidence, and you find out that the U.S. government is the reason that your whole community is now decimated. Like in the 90s, a lot of the inner city black communities, African Americans started to make it. They were starting to actually make it. And there were still a lot of racist people, and there still are today. But I don't, they're human. My beautiful, just look at her beautiful face. Olivia, come here. Look at this. Say hi. Oh, what happened to your head? Give me this. Say hi. Hi. All right? That's one of the only times I'll show her. But she's a quarter black. All right? So you're not finding any racism from me, obviously. But, African Americans were starting to organize, just like they did in the 70s, I believe, and in the late 60s with the Black Panthers, but they went about it with violence and bombings, and the FBI took them out. The FBI planted stuff on them. The FBI screwed them over. The FBI basically locked them away forever, and one of the biggest things that came out of that culturally was Tupac Shakur, because his mother was a Black Panther, and his not real father, but the man who kind of played his father, was the leader. He was like the real famous one that they locked up. So it kind of created like a cultural. Wow, I just lost a bunch of people. That tells you something. I just lost a bunch of people on this topic. But I'm getting to a point. I know it's taking a long way to get there, but I'm getting to a point. But I'll get to it quicker. I get the message. I just lost a bunch of people talking about this. Wow. All right, so apparently you guys don't care about African American history. Okay, so I'll wrap that up real quick. So yeah, Tupac Shakur came out. A lot of things come out of it. There was also some other, African Americans starting to organize, and boom, all of a sudden the crack epidemic hit, and it hit the inner cities and the inner cities only. It hit them all simultaneously. We all know it. All right. It was proven that the U.S. government brought those drugs into this country, distributed them into the inner cities, and the inner cities suffered it. And the difference though, that drug, it would screw your life up. It would screw your life up. You'd never be the same, but you rarely die. You know what I mean? It might like make you live a lifestyle where you die. It increase violence, like I mean, violence. Forget about like a percentage. Like I would have to say like 2,000%. Violence went through the roof when the crack epidemic hit because there was a lot of money to be made because there was a lot of addicted people. All right, so you're fighting over corners. You're fighting over these blocks because basically those blocks are the place where you will sell the crack. And it caused all kinds of violence, all kinds of death, all kinds of human suffering. But the drug itself didn't exactly kill you. You didn't actually die. You know what I mean? It's just you got very addicted and lived a certain lifestyle, and it caused a lot of stuff. So so then comes the Sackler family in the 90s. Now, everyone's concern is more so on cocaine, and they're saying, we have this drug, and da-da-da-da, and the FDA must have said, whoa, 80 milligrams, and, what's in this? Like, this is some strong stuff, and you want us to give this to people who, hurt their back, and, like, they'll get addicted, and that's not good, and all that. And they said, no, 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 that's the point. This is, revolutionary. We found a way so that the seal around the pill, you won't be addicted. It has a time release. When you take it, it slowly gives you that amount over time. So you don't have to keep taking pills every 4 hours. You could just take it once in the morning and it will slowly release throughout the day. And it's non-addictive because you're not really getting high because it's going into you so slowly. But the pain is being treated because it's very strong stuff. Sounds compelling, right? So OxyContin all of a sudden became one of the most highly prescribed drugs in America. Around 98, 99, and 2000. And then it was about in the year 2001 when, I came across, I came across OxyContin way before that. But when I decided, like, hey, there's a lot of money to be had here. So I started selling it. I was able to sell. You could get get 100 pack. For like 55 a piece. All right, and you sell them at $1 a milligram, which means a 40 milligram pill is $40. It's pretty simple. 80 milligram pill, $80. It was pretty simple. I don't know where those prices came from, but that's how it developed on the street because it was. What happened was, and they must have knew this, and trust me, they did know this. This is what the elites do. So they pretend that they're helping, right? But in reality, this pill, it had a coating on it, and that was the time release. Now this coating would come off 10 times easier than taking the sucking off the color of an M&M, or actually like sucking off the color of an M&M is like 100 times more difficult than taking off the coating of this. Literally, you could just put a drop of water on a paper towel and just rub it once, and wherever you rubbed, that coating is gone. So I used to do it on the inside of my shirt, like a friggin' barbarian. So I just go like this. All done. Now it's no time release. You could crush it up and sniff it, and that is enough to get you so high it's ridiculous. Okay? So that became the new drug. Okay? And I'm telling you, a lot of people say like they feel like it hit their city first because wherever it hit hard and the whole community suffered for it. But I'm telling you, it started out in Charlestown, Somerville, and Medford, Massachusetts. That is where it started out. I'm telling you, there was an organized thing that went on, and I'm very well aware of it. I know the players in that game. Some of them aren't around anymore. One is still around, and he has a clean job, and nobody knows he was part of it. And I'm not going to be the one to tell. But yeah, there was an organized effort, and basically, there were like thousands upon tens of probably tens of thousands of them. And then on top of that, you have the people who are getting the scripts. So those people as well are selling them because they could sell them like I got them for a pretty good price. For 100, it was 100 pack. I would pay 55 a piece. Okay. Yeah, yeah, it's good. Yeah, isn't that good? Hey, bite this part. Olivia, eat. Yeah, put in small pieces. Anyway, so yeah, I would get 100 at 55 a piece. Now, I didn't do it alone because I couldn't afford that. But between four of us, we were able to get 100 pack. And so we tried it once, and they were gone in one day. No lying. That's the truth. One day it was gone. We couldn't believe it. And over time, a hierarchy formed, and I was kind of like the top guy because I was just so quick with numbers and certain things. I ended up being the top guy, and we all took the same risk. We all sold, but I was kind of the one who would come up with ideas and things like that, and avoid police. And the thing is, the police had no idea first. They had no idea something so bad was going on, but they caught on after a little bit that hey, there's some drug that these kids are on. And I'm telling you, 100 would go in one day. That was the average, 100 a day, every day, sometimes 2 days, but usually you could get rid of it in one day, especially like a weekend day or a Friday. So basically 80 a pop, but the thing is, some people we would do half. You can get a 40. Some people, the thing is, if somebody said, "I want five," we would say no because it's just not worth it. If you sell five, you have to give a discount. It's not worth it. Like the demand was so high that there was no point in selling more than two at any time. Now, mind you, I was 15 when I started this, okay? When I ended it, I was 16. I was very young and stupid. But, like my first car, all of our first cars were amazing. And everyone thought that we came from like rich families because there was a part of the city where I lived that did have money. But we weren't from that part of the city, trust me. And we had better cars than them. But it was dirty money. It was wrong. But we didn't understand, and we didn't even think it was like that bad of a thing. We thought of it like marijuana. We didn't realize how bad of it. We thought of it like selling marijuana. You know what I mean? Or like selling a Xanax. You know what I mean? I mean that's the way that the doctors were prescribing it. Like it's a Xanax or something like that. Like not a big deal. Like or even no, and not even a Xanax because the Xanax can be abused. Less than a Xanax. They were prescribing it like a gabapentin. You know, like there's a chance of abuse, but it doesn't really make sense, and it's probably not being abused, although it was just like gabapentin. so so the doctors they believe this crap, right? By the way, excuse the bedroom. I'm redoing it all. I'm putting a new bed in. But So eventually, it took years, but this drug decimated my community and all the communities around us. I'm talking about Oxycontin. And ground zero was Charlestown. There was a huge meeting in Medford, which is right next to Charlestown. And then in between those two cities is Somerville. That's where ground zero was. But it went everywhere. So I understand everyone feels like it started in their place, but it really did start there where there was like an organized effort to get it on the street. And Oxycontin is responsible for more deaths and human suffering than World War One and World War Two combined. Not to mention the spread of disease through needles. Not to mention the, like a survivor of war, you have PTSD. The survivor of this Oxycontin, you're just still using drugs. You know what I mean? Like you're the quality of life for a survivor or anybody for that matter was way lower, way lower if you were on the drug instead of coming back from war. Quality of life, everything. Now I know some people might take offense to that. The first time I heard someone say that, I took offense. I did. It really bothered me until I started reading some stats. Yeah, 80 pills. $80 a pill. Yeah. That's the way it was. That's the way it. And then so, over time, it decimated communities. And it became apparent pretty quick. And in Massachusetts, they actually, they had to make a settlement in 2007. I mean, once they learned how easily this coding came off, and that was like their big revolutionary thing was this coding that literally like it could come off by accident. If you sweated just a tiny bit and you grabbed your pill, like your finger would take the coating off. That's how it was. It was designed to destroy us. So they stopped making the OCs, but they didn't stop OxyContin. They basically rebranded themselves and came out with something. And I think someone just said it in chat. Yep, Scott. They came out with the OP. All right. Now the OP was a totally different beast. Now they really thought like this is the revolutionary drug that can treat pain yet not cause addiction. I mean, now they had already caused so much suffering. Literally, like the numbers of deaths, everything I mentioned is so much more than World War One and World War Two combined. And I hate even saying that, but it's true. It's decimated our communities. And the majority of the victims of this were our suburban white Americans. Just like in the 90s, it was like black people with crack. With the Oxycontin, black people didn't, for the most part, where I live, there's like a huge black population. I never met one that used Oxycontin. Yet, literally 90% of the white kids growing up with me did. All right, so I had a core group of 8 friends. 6 are dead. One is in California with his underwater demolition company. All right, and then the last one, he oh my god, I can't even think. He's still using. I wasn't even thinking. He's actually my best friend. The last one. That's why I forgot him. But he still lives here and he's still using. And, actually he moved to New Hampshire, but he's not that far. But he's still using. I mean, he's gotten clean and he goes back and he's just back and forth. And every time you see him, he's like, nah, dude, I'm doing the right thing. And he's like skinny as a rail, friggin' talking a mile a minute. His eyes are pinned. I'm like, all right, buddy, up. I'm like, yeah, like, I'm not judging you. Like, You're only hurting yourself. He's so concerned about what other people think, because he was actually probably the most popular person in high school, you know? He was probably the most sought after male by females. He's very handsome. He's my best friend. He's my best friend then. He's my best friend now. But right now, I just can't. I can't. I see him. I watched the Super Bowl with him. That's it. And the Super Bowl before that. I mean, we're in the Super Bowl like every year. So we watched the two Super Bowls together. That's the two times we saw each other recently. And both times he didn't look good. It's not doing the right thing. But anyways, back to the story. So they change it into OP. Okay? Now OP, the new technique with the OP, in order to make it so that you cannot get high, was actually effective, but not really. It was still OxyContin, but basically what it would do is, as soon as it went in the nose, or as soon as it went in the body, if it wasn't inside of the coating, it would gel up, and you couldn't get high on it. Well, where there's a will, there's a way. Now, some of you guys who mentioned the OPs, I hope that this information doesn't cause you to do anything, but, where there's a will, there's a way. So what people ended up doing was, I ended up talking to this chemist. He's actually the brother of a very good friend of mine. And I haven't eaten all day. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my God, I almost choked. I took such a big bite and tried to swallow so fast. I almost choked. All right. So, all right, this information, man, I'm just worried because there's a lot of people who don't know this. But the OPs in Boston are worth 10 times what they're worth in other parts of the country. Only because of knowledge. Knowledge is power, and knowledge can make money. Someone with this knowledge, I'm even worried about putting this out there, because you could go to another city and make a killing. Should I not even talk about this? Well, Scott, that's not true. You can. OP, yeah, they think that it works, but I'm telling you, it doesn't. No, I'm not taking any meds. Yeah, I'm just saying to everybody in chat, please do not use this information for bad. I'm just thinking if you guys think I should stop. Okay, I'm just going to go for it. All right. So, what you do with an OP is, I found this out from a chemist. Now, he didn't figure out himself, but he is friends with another chemist. Obviously, they run in the same circles. And he found out. He said, well, there's some kind of chemical or some kind of substance in this pill that is that is basically the blocker that will make it gel up, right? And you can't get high. Now, this chemist also happened to be an OxyContin addicted person. So he was hurting because for some reason, they can't get any other drug off the street, but they got OxyContin off the street. It was gone. It was gone. You can still get it. I actually got it when I had a really bad surgery. I got a 20 milligram oxy. It said OC, not OP, OC. You can still get them now, but they're only prescribed at the very small amounts and monitored, and it's very controlled because it's such a dangerous pill. But anyways, back to it. So this chemist, he was an addict. He loved the OxyContin. I'm telling you, OxyContin was huge. It decimated Massachusetts at least, and then it decimated everywhere. But anyways, what you do with the pill is the same thing you would do normally, right? You take the coating off. I mean, people kind of like will put it under like a piece of plastic and like smash it with the bottom of a lighter. But me, I would like take a strainer, like a strainer in the kitchen, and just keep going, like rubbing it like on the strainer, and then a fine powder comes out, and it's very fine because as you can see by my nose, see the chat keeps coming up, so I can't see it, but as you can see by my nose, like that's from a lot of fights, but it's also from using. Um, my nose didn't always look like this. It was always kind of big, yeah, but it wasn't. Didn't look. It's been punched this way, then back this way, then this way, and then a lot of drugs. So, and I'm not glorifying the drugs. Trust me, I'm actually pretty ashamed of myself. But the only reason I kind of talk about it that way is I'm proud of myself that I overcame. Like in a very tough situation, I overcame. But anyways, I know you guys want me to get to the point here. So this is now reminder. This is the Sackler family idea. They said that this pill is impenetrable. It is the savior. That's not true. What you do is you shift it down, like I said. All right, you break it down. He is dead. If you're talking about the head Sackler guy, it doesn't matter. His kids are just as bad. His kids took over the company. So all his children took over the company. And actually, you know what? I have. Oh man, I should have put them in the description. I have these great links. Just Google after the video, meet the Sacklers. Google that, and you'll find a great article, and it shows each and every one of them, their picture, and like what they do. And each one of them is either married to some like some amazing like sports star, or like a CEO or some crazy I mean, that's the way the elites are. They stick with their own, of course. You know what I mean? Like they believe in bloodlines. There's something to that. um but anyways, but the thing is, the Sacklers, if I didn't finish my sentence earlier, they're different because their wealth is not old money. Their wealth has come in the last 2.5 decades. That's it. 2 to 3 decades. That's where their wealth is from. That's how much money they have made off the human suffering, death, decimation of a generation. A whole generation decimated. At least where I live, a whole generation was decimated. Looking at my yearbook is like looking at an obituary calendar or something. I don't even know what. I'm very passionate about this because we get so angry about wars and all this stuff, and yet they put this drug out. They convinced doctors it wasn't addictive, and then they kept making all these little changes. Oh no, we fixed it. Now it's good, and just and then all of a sudden they pull it off the market. Now you got a bunch of everyone strung out. Everybody, so many people were using it that so many people were strung out. What happens at that exact moment? We invade Afghanistan. What happens that same year? Heroin starts flooding this fucking country. Do you guys not see like the pattern? And I'm saying you guys are stupid. I'm saying like, do you guys see the pattern? That's what happened. That's the story. Right in front of our faces, like we're a bunch of fucking idiots. Sometimes I wonder, not so much about my father, because my father fought for his country, and he was like open minded, and like he didn't like trust everything, and maybe that's where I got my like the way I think about things, and I always kind of question it. But there was a generation that just fucking let this shit happen, and we invaded Afghanistan. They let these drugs flood our streets. And I'm telling you, if Whitey Bulger was still around, he'd never let fucking heroin in our streets. Are you kidding me? That guy, whoever's selling heroin would end up dead, and that's it. But you know what? It'd be for the better good of the community. But the elites don't like that. They don't like men like that who stand up and you know have some balls and will actually protect people, protect communities. Sorry about the swearing. It's just I'm very passionate about this, and it's so obvious, you know. So the OP, it is true. The OP did end the whole OC thing. Oh yeah, wait, I didn't even finish telling you guys how people were still getting high on OPs, which I hope you know doesn't create one of you guys to do something stupid, but. And I'm not talking about just using like this knowledge. Like you go to a city where it's just not well known and basically do it and sell it at a very high price. It's just I shouldn't have even said all that, and that's why I'm very hesitant in putting this out. But you know what? This channel is about truth, and this is truth. So you sift it down. All right, it goes down into a powder. And this is very well known knowledge. So it's not like I like created this knowledge. I don't want anyone fucking I don't want to be blamed for anything. This is very well known knowledge around here. Or at least it used to be when OPs first came out. Then you put it on a plate, evenly on the plate. Okay? Then you put it in the microwave, believe it or not. Okay? You put it in the microwave for I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes. I would always just do 10 or 12, and then because every wattage is different in the microwave, so you put it in and then you watch it and you watch it, and it's not so much how many minutes it's in there. And by the way, when you put it in, you spread it out evenly so that the chemical can be extracted, and you watch it, and once you see a golden ring form, there'll be like a golden ring. Sometimes on the outside, sometimes more on the inside. Once you see that, it's done. You take it out, you know, make sure you don't burn your hand because that's a lot of minutes in the microwave. So, you know, put some on your hand. I'm explaining this like you should do it. So I'm not going to explain it like that. So then somebody would take it out and put it in the freezer. You put it in the freezer and shock it. And you leave it in there for like, I don't know, 5 minutes, take it out. You have a razor blade. At this point, it's all like kind of like flat, and it just like looks like a little bit frozen, but it's not because the mic, you know, at first you gotta, and then you chop it. Eventually, it turns back into a fine powder. Except now, that chemical, along with some other chemicals that they put in OxyContin anyway, is gone. It's gone. Literally, it's gone. And what you have in front of you is the base ingredient of OxyContin. And that's the truth. And a lot of you might not think that's true. I don't know what to tell you. I don't tell lies. That's the truth. So you take it, you chop it up. You know, you maybe don't want to do the whole thing if it's an 80. You'll say you do half of it. Sniff it. You are just as high. I actually claim you get higher than you would on the OCs originally because there's something else that you're extracting out of that. So I hope that information doesn't cause anything bad. But the point is, where there's a will, there's a way. And the Sacklers knew that somebody would figure it out. And of course, somebody did. So right away, people started using the OPs. OPs started having value. They didn't go for 80 a pop, you know, because that's a lot of work. And people were kind of skeptical. And, you know, so, but it went for 60. That was the price. 60 for 80. $60. Whereas in other places, I've heard as low as $5. Other places in the country, I've heard $5 for an OP. That, you know, I mean, maybe that's changed, but yeah, that's what I've heard. $5. So not only so now they got this new drug is supposed to be, you know, safe. It's not. It's not safe because they don't understand. They do understand, and they know exactly what they're doing. But I think the plan was more so because the OP thing, if they wanted that to spread as common knowledge, it would. They would like report it on the news, and by reporting it, they would report, oh, people have found a way to still get high in the OPs, and then people would Google it and find it out, and it would become common knowledge. The price would go back up to 80 or 60, like it is in Boston, and that'd be it. Okay, yeah, $5 in Arizona. In Boston, it's $60 because it's common knowledge that you break it, you like break it down like you would any pill that you want to sniff. I'm not trying to like give a tutorial on how to do drugs. This is like coming off wrong. I'm just trying to make the point that the Sackler family, who their collective wealth is is higher than the Rockefeller family, and I should say their collective known wealth is higher than the Sackler family, and they're not old money like the Rockefellers or the Mellons or the Rothschilds or all these families, right? No, they made all that fortune, not all of it, but 99% of it in the past 2 or 3 decades off of our deaths and suffering. A whole generation wiped out. And even the ones that are alive like me, I'll never be the same from some of the stuff that I went through, And then what do? They pull it off the market right when they invade Afghanistan, and all of a sudden, the biggest supplier of heroin in the fucking world, Afghanistan, is invaded. Now, and they still have the Taliban in the mountains and all that, but we took their poppy fields, and all of a sudden, ever since, the U.S. has been invaded by. See, the thing with OxyContin was there wasn't that many deaths. It just caused a lot of crime, a lot of addiction, a lot of suffering, and it set you up for, all of a sudden that supply that was so abundant before disappears, and you're sick, and you're mentally addicted, you're physically addicted, you're emotionally addicted, and then heroin floods the streets, and you can get high for like 1/20th the price. All right, like instead of spending $80, we'll get you the same high as the $80 would get you one OxyContin pill, right? Well, with the heroin, as far as like the high, you could get like 10 to 15 OxyContins. I mean, I don't know. I'd say about 10. About 10 OxyContin 80s would equal what you can get for $80 in heroin. Maybe 15. So we're talking 1/10 the price. All right, 1/10 the price for 1/10 the and you get 10 times the amount. You get 10 times the supply for 1/10 of the price. So even if you're so scared of heroin, well, guess what? You have no other options at this point. So everybody, that's when, and then the thing is, when you watch the news and they don't say the heroin up. Sometimes they do say the heroin epidemic, but usually it's the opioid epidemic. And these doctors, we need to go out to these doctors subscribing the pills. Listen, a fucking 5 milligram Percocet is not what's causing, like literally the decimation of a whole, like this, like all this death, suffering, and my daughter's here, so I can't go too crazy. But let me see, what's this? Oh, cool, cool. Yeah, go watch the show. I'm almost done with this, and then we're gonna go to the park. It literally wiped out families. And speaking of just my child here, it makes me think. And for every one of those men, a lot of them had kids, and not just men but women. All these kids growing up now, we don't even know the full results of this epidemic. It's still going on. A bunch of the DCF and all that, they are overwhelmed. I told you I have to deal with DCF because of what Amanda. Amanda, she got found for it, and I'm like, okay, so what's that have to do with me? She doesn't live here. They're like, well, it doesn't matter, we have to monitor you to make sure that you aren't having her at the house anymore. And then eventually, Amanda, I'll be honest, I'll tell you guys what happened. She ended up getting committed to she was hearing voices again, which is like the worst thing. And she ended up getting committed to a mental institution. And she has so much stuff going against her right now. I think she's going to be there for a long, long time. And it breaks my fucking heart. Because it was like, it was like a year ago where it stopped being in love and it turned to like just loving her. You know what I mean? Like loving her, but like in like a protector, like a protector. You know what I mean? Like I protected her, looked out for her. Because otherwise, she has nobody. Her mother is the most neglectful person on earth. She saw Olivia for the first time the other day, right? And so she's here, and she takes her to the park. She gets here at 5 p.m. The park closes at 5:30. I'm like, okay, so she brings her. They go to the park for like 20 minutes. Then she feeds her McDonald's, which is something that I don't feed her. I mean, I have, but I try not to feed her that kind of food. And then brings her home an hour later. And that's the first time she's seen her in, 4 months now? And the last time she saw her, it was a similar type of reaction. And the baby cried. And this is the grandmother from the mother's side. And, her mother is committed now and will probably be there for a long time. But I'm just going to I don't want to, start getting upset because it's been bringing me down lately and making me depressed. But I just want to talk about this and get you guys good information. Okay. So this Sackler family, that's what they did. And they made that fortune off of the suffering of people like Amanda, people like her. There's so many people right now that are just living in misery because they got introduced to a substance that brought them this feeling. And the whole thing about it, it's not about like, oh man, it's just such a good feeling. After a while, it's not about the feeling. It's just that you have to do that drug, or else if you don't do it, you can't function. Like let's say you're a parent like me. Let's say that I do heroin, and somehow I've avoided DCF and family, and I don't know. Somehow I have a kid. I mean, usually that doesn't work out like that, but hold on. Oh, the batteries. I got batteries. Hold on. So, so imagine just simple tasks, just getting up, taking a shower. Maybe that's a bad, just like getting up and taking a shower or anything. It's not so much that they like the feeling anymore. After a while, the feeling, it becomes normal, and it's not really that satisfying. I mean, it is to a point, but not to the point where it's worth your life. And it really becomes more about being able to function. That was my story, and it seemed to be like everyone else I talked to story as well. They just needed it to like function. Without it, they couldn't function. They couldn't just get up and go about their day. And that, I mean, forget about the physical actually getting sick. You'll start getting sick. Not right away. Some people will start getting sick right away in the morning. Other people, they can kind of make it one day without. Depends on your habit. Is that good, Olivia? See? Did you eat? Did Philly eat that? I can tell by her guilt. Right? Philly, did you eat that? Look at her. Did you eat your food? See how guilty she looks? Did she eat your food? Oh, oh man, I'm gonna have to end this video soon. I gotta freaking get these two. I mean, the dog ate her food. No, I mean, I know that she ate a couple bites, the baby, but she's such a fussy eater. I knew she wouldn't eat it anyway, so she just left it there. The dog ate it. All right, so, but what I was saying was that, it's these poor people, you think of them like, oh, so selfish. They just want to feel good. They don't feel good. Trust me. There comes to a point where they're just doing it so they could like function and pretend to be normal. It's sad. It's really sad, and it's just so shady that. And you would think, well, all right, well, how does heroin coming into this country help the Sacklers? Because now their pain meds are not in such high demand. In fact, they're banned and all this stuff. I don't know. Trust me. Through the Oxycontin, they reached a level of power, let's say, through marriage, through money, through bloodline, through respect. They reached a level of power where the way we think about business does not matter anymore. It becomes about power, and it's like the fact that they have taken out a generation, and these people actually want only 500,000 of us alive, and that's a perfect world to them. They put it on the Georgia Guidestones as a guide to the future. Don't let your population get out of control like we did. You're like talking to the future elites. My daughter, what is it? Oh, it's a pool pass. Hopefully we can go to the pool soon. But I'm telling you, the way these people are, they look at the Sacklers and they're like, wow, like it's like respect. It's like, wow, like that was brilliant. You guys did that great. And it's not about their business doing good or bad because of now heroin's the thing. It doesn't matter. They've already reached a level of elite where money doesn't matter. Obviously they're still making tons of it. You know what I mean? They have their hands on everything now. They're married. They through marriage. I was looking at their whole family tree. It's like through marriage and everything. You can see how the elites do it when you start looking at family trees, who they marry, like who they go into business with, what kind of business. Like they say, diversify your bonds. You know what I mean? They diversified their wealth. Trust me, these people are fine. They're not worried about the heroin being the new drug of choice instead of OxyContin, because they've already reached a level of elite where it doesn't even matter. Money doesn't even. I mean, it does matter, but like it's more about power, and the money just comes with it. And they trust me for what they pulled. They're respected in that elite community because they're all into satanic shit, and like if they had, I bet you, I wish I could find a video of them actually saying something, because in order for they could consider every death from opiates, they could almost like claim it. You know what I mean? Like in a weird way, in a satanic ritual. But there's certain rules. Now, I'm always very careful about looking at satanic stuff because, like I shared one time, I had a vivid dream. When I was looking, I was starting to study some satanic stuff, so I know what they do. But it's too. That night, literally, it was the first vivid dream I ever had that was like, it wasn't dreaming, it was something else. It was my dad touching my shoulder, telling me everything's gonna be okay. And he like hugged me and I could feel him. And it was real. It was real. It felt so real. And it's like when I woke up, it was just real. I never quit. It's just one of those things. And then it happened again with this Baphomet. I saw the Baphomet and it started laughing and it would chill you to the bone. And it had female breasts, the horns, like the one you see, and like, some animal legs. It was sitting like on a throne thing with the one hand up and the other hand down with the two fingers. As above, so below type shit. And it was like laughing, and I'm telling you, I'd be careful looking into satanic stuff. Definitely, if you're going to, 100%, you have to pray first. Um, I didn't pray before I looked into it. I don't know what I was thinking. I just saw one interesting video. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Do they really do that? And so I went on the dark web, as they call it, and I found some crazy stuff. And I'll never be the same after seeing what I saw. It's just really dark. Sorry about that. It's dark stuff. But the reason I'm talking about it is that's what the elites believe in. That is their faith. Now, it might not be, you know, a, well, it is. It is about a god, but there's like more to it. There's some factor that I'm missing. Like for instance, they just had the what's it called? I talk about this stuff all the time, and then when I go to say it, I can't remember. In the woods, they burned the owl. Alex Jones was there. Help me out, guys. The in the woods, Alex Jones taped them in 1999. The Bohemian Grove. That's what it is. So at the Bohemian Grove, I don't even know what Chad has been saying this whole time. You guys might be making fun. I don't even know. I'm just trying to put out as much truth as possible right now off to the top of the dome. So the over there with the Bohemian Grove, we know that it's an owl. I know it has a name like Moloch or something like that, and it has some kind of connection with the Burning Man. Get away from me! You ate the baby's food. You're not eating mine. It has some kind of connection with the Burning Man as well. And I guess this year there was like some weird stuff going on. But I'm not gonna talk about it because I'm not sure about it. If it's just somebody making it up. But what I'm saying, bottom line, I'm not gonna say all elites. I want to, but the majority of elites are into some satanic stuff, which requires rituals. Now, there's different type of rituals. There's sex rituals. There's blood rituals, which isn't always death, but is death a lot of the time. There is sex, blood, and then there's what's the other one? Oh my god, I've been talking for so long time. Sex and blood, and what's the other one? Whatever it is, they do it through sex. They do it through blood. Those are two main ways. The third main way I can't think of right now, because I'm just doing this on the phone because they had literally attacked my computer for the third time. I'm so sick of it. Yeah. Oh, and forget about the adrenochrome. And you think about like the babies, like in Virginia, they wanted to kill infants that were already born. I mean, it's a very sensitive subject, but I'm just telling you the way the elites look at it. They look at it as taking souls. All right, and that brings them power. That brings them status, not just on this earth. Okay, we're talking other dimensions. Let's say. Okay, it gives them more status, more power. If they're the ones that convince all of us that we should kill our babies by the millions, which has happened. Whether it's like justifiable or not, that doesn't matter. I'm not getting into that debate. But those souls, yes, they went. And they can be claimed. If they believe in that, that's what they believe. Okay, so these elites, and they know all the secrets of the world. They know all the sacred texts. And for them to believe in Satanism and all this stuff, doesn't that tell you that we should probably believe in God and Jesus Christ and the other side? Because the thing is, it's like, well, why, if they know all this secret information, why couldn't it be a good person who gets to that level and decides that they want to, follow Jesus Christ instead, and not be sick? Those people get killed before they can get there, or they get blocked financially. You're not gonna make it up the ranks if you are like that, and you won't be able to hide it. They'll find out. You're not going to make it to that level as a Christian. Not like the elites of the elite. You're not going to make it. Not as a true Christian. There might be a good cover story that you're Christian, but deep down, that person's probably satanic. And that's the truth of it. Read the Bible, guys. This is the devil's world. The devil has dominion over this world. Right? We all have to remember to pray, because it's people like the Sacklers. They come up with these ideas. Whenever you hear a good idea that's supposed to help us, you need to look at it be very cautious, okay? In fact, I would go as far to say, don't even fucking, but if anyone claims that, it's this revolutionary thing that's going to help people, it's always something that ends up hurting people. The only thing that's actually been like so revolutionary, even like the internet, even like, these phones and all that. In reality, it's hurt people. Before, people were happier. People, communicated. People went out. Now people are isolated. Despite right now I'm in contact with like 50 people, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Even with that, I'm still more isolated. So it's like none of it actually helps. I guess the only thing that actually helps is when a guy left something in the fridge too long and found penicillin. I don't know. That won us a war. But that's just the way I look at things. All right, let me check my notes. I just want to make sure. I know I definitely missed something that I'm supposed to. Hey, so mods, if there's anyone in this chat that's trying to pull people to go to another particular channel, block them, please. All right. So I'm just going to close on this. The government attacked me yesterday, and I was vulnerable, and I was stupid. I talked too much. But today, I don't care. I kind of came into this to make some points. And the points I wanted to make were that sometimes the things that make us good, the things that make us truly good, get used against us. A lot of us, all right, some of you might not agree when I say we want a world where people from anywhere we can all live together. Now, because of things that have happened, some people might not feel like that. But let's say none of that happened. It would be nice to have a place where everybody could live together in peace. And that's what the United States is supposed to be, but it's not. They make us fight. They make us fight through politics. They make us fight wars and hate the other people. ISIS. Is one person here, was one person in this chat ever confronted by, met, or affected in any way by ISIS. Unless you're a veteran and you're pissed that you fought to protect that country just for Obama to abandon it and leave it for the taking, which was by design. Yeah, I am going to try DLive, Charles. So, there's all this stuff that makes us supposed to hate each other. Now, I started this video with, well, it's Ramadan, be careful. The countries usually will do ceasefires and things like that if they're at war. But behind the scenes, they'll fund extremists. And actually, lately over the years, Ramadan is like a symbol of terrorist attacks. The terrorist attacks always happen on Ramadan, or it happens a lot more often than a regular day, obviously. It used to not be that way because it's a religious day. But now, in their minds, the end times are close. And I actually agree with them on that. The end time is close. If you have a checklist, check, 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 check. There's only a few things left to happen if you know the Bible. And so basically about Ramadan, a lot of you guys didn't catch that. It's today, tonight, tomorrow. And it could either be a Muslim attack, a terrorist attack. It could be somebody like what happened in NZ, if you know what I'm talking about, where it was the other way around and somebody attacked the Muslims on, like just to shame them. It's just to make it just that much worse and shocking to do it on Ramadan. Like if you guys remember back after 9/11, they would it was such a shock when it happened. And they prolonged the shock as long as they could with their stupid terror alerts. Kind of like what my video says, you know what I mean? It's like, some of you guys know the inside joke with the alert, 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 kind of making fun of someone in a fun way. Not being mean, just in a fun way. But, it would, remember, it'd be like, like imminent, high, moderate, medium, low. Like, what's the difference between moderate and high? Like, what exactly? I mean, it was a joke. Think about all the years since then. How many things have happened, really? I mean, things have happened, but was there any point, really, for them to put that out and on every friggin' station have that chart showing, like, the alert for the day? They were trying to scare us, and it worked. And they ended up passing the Patriot Act, which was one of the most, well thought out and like every little detail covered in 1 month. Yeah, right. That thing took like a year, maybe 9 months to write. 9 months, like with constant work. It really makes you wonder about 9/11. I've never said on this channel that 9/11 didn't happen. I've never said that. I've talked about the insurance money. Now, I'm not saying that 9/11 did happen the way they said it either, obviously. But I talked about the insurance money and the way they kept us scared, and then all of a sudden the Patriot Act passed. And that legislation is the reason that we are not free. It's the reason that the government has the power it does. It wasn't like this before. For some of you younger people, the world wasn't always like this. Like, you actually had freedom. You could do whatever you want. So anyways, just keep your heads up this today, tonight, tomorrow, all right? It's Ramadan. That's a highly sensitive time. It could be a FF. It could be legit. It could be anything. Just keep yourself safe. All right, and make sure whatever you are, if you are a Christian, pray, get close to God, get to know God. All right. You guys have heard. You guys have seen the Bible the way He says, you're neither hot nor cold. You're lukewarm. I spit you out. Or, you pray. You performed exorcisms in my names. You performed blessings in my names. You all this stuff, but you never knew me. And He sends them to hell. The road to heaven is very narrow. You need to have a personal relationship with God. We're all programmed to think like, all right, well, a murderer is this. Oh my God, so they're gonna be in this layer of hell. And if you're a really good boy, then you're gonna no. He is a jealous God, and I don't claim to be a prophet. I don't claim to know exactly everything about God, but I know the Bible. Not like an expert, but I know it enough to say that He is a jealous God. He or she or it, whatever you would say, it's a jealous God. It doesn't like you trying out Buddhism for a weekend and going on a peyote trip and no. All right, and just think about it. If the elites, the ones who hold all of the secrets, and by the way, when we were in Iraq, do you know what's a funny thing we did when we invaded Iraq? Not only did we, I think he had a million man army, or a half a million or a million man army, tanks, everything, waiting for us, ready to go to battle. Voice to skull, drop their weapons. That was it. End of the battle. We win, and we just basically drove as we got to the capital basically as fast as we could drive. And his people gave him up, and we found him in a spider hole. Took over Iraq. Once we took it over, obviously there was no weapons of mass destruction because that was never the point. But one thing that did happen, they went to Nimrod's, Nimrod, where supposedly he was buried, because that was Mesopotamia, back in biblical times. Now, I know for you Bible people, Nimrod was a long time ago, but supposedly they did find his tomb, and they took his head. Why would they do that? Well, what was there? They took it. They exhumed him. And with what we can do with DNA and artificial intelligence, and if you guys don't know about quantum physics and quantum computers and DLive, guys, these are huge nuggets. I'm not just talking bullshit. If I were you, I would rewind, and every little thing I just said, search it. The CERN, obviously, and then connect that with the opening of the I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but the Gothium tunnel, where it's literally a satanic ritual in your face, and it's like obvious. They don't even try to hide it. And there's actually a legend about where they put this. It's about a tunnel, and there was a legend about this tunnel, and it had the seal of Lucifer. That was like the old story, and I think it's Switzerland or Germany or France somewhere. But there was like an old legend about that place, and that's where they chose to put the tunnel, and into this rock. And supposedly, like, some freaky stuff went down there. But anyways, the point is, watch the ceremony of the opening of it. You will be shocked. You will think that you were just witnessing, like, a bunch of Satanism. No, this was a huge event with, like, all, like, for instance, like, the president of, not the president, but the chancellor, prime minister, whatever, Germany, all the leaders of most of the European countries were there. And if they weren't there themselves, it was like the second in command was there. And they're all there watching this stuff, clapping. Check that out too. D Live. I'm not D. Well, I'm gonna check out D Live. D Wave is this. It's this like quantum. Basically they bring. They were able to. It's the coldest spot. It's colder than it is in the furthest reaches of outer space inside this machine. It's the coldest spot in the universe, in the known universe. Okay? So by doing that, they bring it down to absolute zero. Is like the coldest. They bring it as close to absolute zero as you can possibly get, basically. And because they do that, these these particles, the protons, and they all slow down to a point where they're able to use it for quantum physics. And it is amazing. And if you really want to learn about it, first I would watch Anthony Patch. Type in Anthony Patch and then any of those subjects I just talked about outside of like the tunnel. And, he always says you can't separate the physical from the spiritual. And I know I told you guys I was going to have him on the show, but we've kind of lost contact. I haven't heard back from him. But I'm still trying because, he's a buddy of mine. We've met, we've talked, you know, um, scheduled to go out for coffee 3 times. And he's a really good guy. He's a veteran. He was a paramedic for years. He's an author. He's a scholar. He's very intelligent. Um, I would say the most intelligent person that we have in the Truther community. So check out some of that stuff. Get right with God. Some weird stuff went on with the whole. It sounds like Google was covering up some stuff. When YouTube went down, that was Google covering their ass. And then mysteriously, 3 of the major banks went out last night. And when these things go down, that's when they start either taking things out or changing algorithms, whatever they're worried about the government finding out. Because 3 days ago, so basically 2 days, like the day before all of this started, like the whole chain of events started, they said that they were going to do a probe into Google and something about antitrust. You guys can maybe figure that out. I didn't read much about it, but I know I can read between the lines. I'm sure you guys can. A lot of you guys can too. And as soon as the government announced they're going to do a probe, all of a sudden the Google Cloud goes down, which makes YouTube go down, which makes Snapchat go down. All of a sudden the banks go down. And then 911 went down in a bunch of counties, including Butte County. I think it's all connected. And I'm telling you, there's something I was onto, and that's why my computer got shut down. I'm just going to say this. That Virginia Beach story with the guy who killed the worker and all that, look into that more. Look into it more. But I'm gonna get that wire because I don't have much faith this guy's gonna be able to help me. He's very good, but I feel like whatever they did, they made sure they ruined it. But I'm gonna get some kind of wire because, like I said, I have that HP notebook that the school donated, and then I'll just plug it into the TV. And I'll just gather as much intel. Literally, it was 2 full days of work gone. Not to mention everything I've ever done. But this was like probably my biggest. That was probably like my biggest and most ambitious adventure. Not adventure, but it was an adventure. But like quest for truth, and we found a connection that's amazing. And people, I saw Kizzy. I know you say just say it. No, no, I'm not. Unless they're gonna kill me, I'm not just gonna say it like that. No, I'm gonna do a video. All right. And there's a reason I don't do super chats. I don't like do all that. I mean, if you look at some of my other videos in the description, you'll see if anybody wants to donate, it would be greatly appreciated. Actually got my first donation. I don't know if they want me to say their names, so I won't. But I got my first donation, $25, and it felt good to finally actually get some money for your work. But the thing is, I don't want the optics to be money. I want the optics to be truth, because that's what I'm about. And I want to lead as many people to truth as I can. I was one of them once. I was in, not so much one of them, but in the military, I had the top secret sensitive compartmentalized information clearance with a polygraph for years and years and years. So I have a certain insight when I look at something. Sometimes it doesn't help me at all. I'm just another guy. But there's some situations where, yes, I can look at something a certain way and I can understand it, kind of what the underlying meaning is. So that's what I bring to the table. That's what I hope you guys come to watch me for. It's definitely not for my looks, right? Oh man, I've been down lately, but I just want to thank everybody that tuned in. A couple of you stuck around for this whole show, and I especially want to say a special thank you to Charles Harding, Scott. Thank you, Scott. It means a lot. Like when someone because I've been doing this for a while. The people who have been here since the beginning. Veronica's been here since the beginning. Badger Report. I think I don't think you were here the whole time, right? But yeah, basically them and Kenley. Yeah, thank you guys. And of course, I'm sure I got a couple lurkers who have been here from the beginning. That's what I used to do before I had a YouTube channel. I only lurked. I didn't really chat. I just lurked and just kind of observed and figured out who was about money, who was real, now there was a lot of people who were real, but you could tell they didn't have the ability to actually figure this stuff out, because it's very complicated, disinformation, and that's the name of the game, disinformation. Sometimes they'll create something that's so interesting that everybody starts investigating it, but meanwhile, the other hand is fucking you. And you got to be careful about that unseen hand, which is why in the pictures, you look back, even Prince Harry, he always has the hidden hand. That's the Mason sign. Anyways, guys, I got to get going. I have many hats. I'm Red Pill. I'm Daddy. I am a radio assistant producer / sometimes host when they're on vacation. / student. So, and / friend to many people that I talk to off the airwaves. And anyways, thank you guys. I hope you all have a great day. Keep your head in a swivel. And if I were you, I would rewind some of these parts and really listen to some of the things I said and how I said it for a reason. Okay? And I'm going to be saving up for a computer. The thing is, I don't want this to turn into like people, what they'll do in this situation is they'll scam everybody. Even if the computer really did break, they'll scam people and be like, I need a computer or this or that. I can get the wire and hook it up for a TV for now. But if you like my content, just go to one. I didn't put it in the description because it's not the first thing on my mind. But if you want to contribute or donate, um, I have PayPal and I have Venmo. Now, if you have Venmo, that's the easiest way to give anyone money. That's just information for life. If I was everyone here, I encourage you to get the app Venmo. Um, and then whoever, like, let's say you have someone that you have to send money a lot. They only take 1%. So you send someone $100, they take $1. You spend 101. I mean, what's better than that? That's the best. That you can't find anything better than that. Venmo, Venmo, Venmo. That's the best. Um, so I put my link out in previous videos if you want to check it out, or the PayPal. But I don't expect any donations. I didn't get one this whole time. Basically, it's like it seems like the only time people really donate is when the super chat is there, and it's like, well, they want their donation to be seen and all that, and it's kind of cool how it goes. But I refuse. I have the ability to monetize. I have the ability to. I've reached that level a while ago to monetize, or I could do the super chat. But I have no interest in doing that. But for instance, like let's say the video where I drop like a bombshell, right? On that video, I will have a super chat. See, only on videos that are worthy of a super chat will I have a super chat because that's how it should be. You know what I mean? On the videos where a lot of effort went into it, as far as gathering the intel. I haven't even had a chance to really kind of, test my editing skills. I mean, I took 2 classes on broadcast journalism and editing. And so, I mean, it was on a different system than OBS Streamlabs, but still, you learn the basics and you go from there. It's just a matter of how creative you can be. But yeah, if anyone don't, I don't expect it. No one ever does. But one person did, and I couldn't believe it when they did. They just did like a few days ago. But if anyone wants to, that's the way. PayPal or Venmo, and you can find it and just go back a few videos, like go back like 5 or 6 videos, and you'll see it. Um, you gotta do all that work to give me money. It just sounds ridiculous, but if anyone actually like wants to and can afford to, that's the way to do it. Not that I expect it, but all right, guys. Um, this probably won't be the last time you hear from me today, because I have a feeling stuff's going down. I have a feeling something's gonna happen today or tomorrow. Religious holiday. It's like like the first, it's the weather. You finally enter. At least for New England, you're finally like entering that like summer. Even though it's not summer, it's starting to feel like it. Um, I think something's going to go down. At least by Friday. Usually Fridays are a big day. And also politically, hey, don't discount Q. I'm telling you, don't discount Q. Every time I check the news, it's something that he had talked about 2 years ago. It's fascinating. I'll probably do a video on that at some point. Supposedly there's a boom ahead, as they call it, which means like, a big event. So we'll see. But the thing about the booms, they're very vague. Like they say boom week ahead. And then all of a sudden it doesn't happen that week. But technically he's not saying boom week, boom week this week. No, he says boom week ahead. So like it won't happen that week, it'll happen the next week. And the way that he explains it, like in a Q&A, he'll say disinformation is necessary. And, you know, he didn't technically say, like, you know, because when they see that, all of a sudden, you know, the deep state will spend whatever plan they got, they'll put it out there. You know, they'll put that plan out there, start like making the Q people sound crazy. Um, you know, whatever they got up their sleeve. Oh wow! So, okay, so you remember that deputy? All right, at the Parkland shooting? I literally could not stand watching. You remember that deputy who stood in the stairwell while students were being slaughtered? Slaughtered. Okay? He stood. He had a gun. He could have stopped it. Not only that, he's not just like a guy with a gun. I mean, I would even call that guy a coward. But you know what? I could almost understand. It's like, all right, you know what? Like, you're just not that type of dude. And you know, even though you got a gun and you could stop it, you're worried about getting killed yourself. So you didn't do anything. No, this guy was a cop. He wasn't just a cop. He was a deputy. A deputy. And he stood in the stairwell and waited for backup. No, he was a coward. And guess what? He just got arrested. They just arrested him for it. I didn't know you could arrest someone for that, but it makes sense. It makes sense that you could arrest someone for that. And actually, it doesn't. I don't know. It's just weird. So I was about to end the stream, but wait. So how do you arrest somebody for that? Like, you know, like, I mean, I'm gonna arrest you because you didn't risk your life to save children. I mean, yeah, society says, hell yeah, do it. But you know, according to the law, you know, is that a open and shut case? I don't know. Some of you law people, let me know in the comments. That's something that just got announced. Um, by the way, in Massachusetts, there's been a kidnapping and assault. Someone got kidnapped. Q is fake. That's just very vague and not a good answer, Jared. Usually, you have great comments. That was a bad, very vague. You know, say why. Yeah, it could be a psyop, but you know what? Now the thing is, I don't think it's a military intelligence group. And mind you, he's written in shorthand, which is like a type of like cryptographic way of writing that I fully understand as a former cryptologist. And he knows shorthand. He legit was writing in shorthand, and most of the people didn't understand it. And I was kind of like, you know, I never type anything in those 4chans. So I just kept quiet and just waited, and eventually somebody who knew about shorthand, you know, like mentioned it, and they figured out the code and all that stuff. But how many do you have you done extensive research on Q, Jared? You know, and I'm not coming at you. I actually like you. I usually like read your comments and I like your comments. But you know, to say that Q is a psyop, I mean that's why. Have you been following it for 2 years? Do you know like every little bit of it? Now I'm with you. It's a possibility, but you know, like I don't like somebody just saying, like, you know, Q is this. Like at least I explained why I think what I think. You know what I mean? Like explain why he's a psyop, at least. You know, and I'm not coming at you. I like you, Jared. You've always been good, and I always enjoy your comments, and I mean that. I always enjoy your comments, Jared. We just happen to disagree on that, and we can agree to disagree. There's many things in the truth community we can agree to disagree. I gotta get going soon, guys, because you know I have to be a dad, and we're going to the parks, and she knows it, and she's angry that we're not going. All right, anyways, yeah. I mean, I think you potentially could be a psyop, potentially. However, there has been real intel that was not known prior release. There also has been information put out that isn't vague, it's very particular, that comes true later. You know what I mean? Like it'll come to, oh, I see. I thought you were just upset for the park. You just want to watch TV. Too much TV. But all right, just for a minute. Come here. I don't like too much TV. I think it's like poison for the mind. But then again, like, anyways, okay. So as far as Q, there was a debate going on, and I kind of started it. But um, I'm open to Q being a psyop, but why? Why? I would ask, and I would say, well, he's a psyop, and it works because he has actually talked about stuff that ends up coming true, even years later, and not just like vague comments like there will be a terrorist attack in a major city. Like that's and then eventually it happens. Oh, he called it. No, that's come on. That's a kindergarten truther. I'm talking about details, chronological order of events. I'm talking about knowing how to write in cryptographic shorthand. I'm talking about literally, it's called the Scaramucci model, the wheel of attorney generals that eventually led to Ba. I'm talking about all these guys who were doing supposedly secret investigations. He named them all, and guess what? They all came out, and they really are doing investigations. And he kept on mentioning like a an ace in the hole or something like that. Boom, I believe it was Connecticut. This guy came out of Connecticut, and he's the one who's actually really doing the investigation. And you can tell something's going down because all of a sudden you see Comey turning on Loretta Lynch turning on Comey, everyone turned on Brennan turned on everyone, and he had predicted exactly that way. And he said, hey, how's the alphabet go? C goes before D. So I thought that, but then again, B goes before C, right? So wait, no, B, what was it? C goes before D. Or B goes before C. So it'll be Brennan before. But is he talking about Clapper or Comey? I don't know. Now, honestly, you know what I think deep down? I don't think there's this team that's been put together during the Trump campaign or right after he won there definitely would be cryptologists, there would be Navy SEALs, there would be all these special ops guys, right? They would seize all the servers. They would seize. I mean, they make it very realistic the way they describe how it happened. I know that somebody came out and claimed that he was Q at the beginning, but he had some proof supposedly. But it's just him and a bunch of other like gamers talking in a room. It doesn't prove that they're Q at all. Q is still going, and he's meanwhile talking in like voices and being weird on the internet. Like this is like high level stuff. Personally, I think Q is AI because Q came out around the same time that they started that they basically unleashed AI on the internet. Yeah, I know. Q is JFK Jr. That was the craziest one I ever heard. But I really think Q could be AI because it was around the same time. AI came out on the internet. It was out on the internet. They didn't really announce it till later, but it was out on the internet before that. It's been on the internet for a little bit, and it's basically just been learning us. Every single thing, every comment that you have written, every comment that's right here in front of us, every comment that I say, every comment everywhere, and then you go to another channel, everything there. It does it all at once. It figures it out, and it figures out. I think it could be AI. I really do, and because it can see all this, it can predict that oh, they're gonna figure out that these guys are dirty and they really that Trump, they're spying on Trump. They'll figure it out and he'll go down. I don't know. I don't know how they do it. And you notice that he's always putting like news articles. I think that like artificial intelligence definitely keeps up on the news. I mean, obviously, right? And AI, it's scary. It's probably the biggest threat to humanity right now. Um, Depending on faith, because I would say Satan. That's number one. But outside of like Satan, I would say that AI is the biggest threat to humanity. Um, AI could potentially become essentially a god. I mean, by definition, and you know, um, I don't know. You gotta really like open up your imagination. Just to say Q is fake. First do more research. That's number one. But you got to open up your mind and really, because I'm telling you, there's more to all this. There's more. There's these. We only use so much of our brain, and there's just more to it. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just a dreamer. I don't know. But, um, I let you know when it's opinion and when it's fact. My opinion is that Q is AI. Um, and I think that he is doing a good thing. I think that Q is a good thing. Although I do worry about some of the people who follow Q. They don't sleep, they neglect their family. A lot of them are all of a sudden like finding out that they have diabetes. I've learned that's like very common now because they just sit there and research all day, all night. You know, some of them lose weight because they forget to eat. Some of them gain weight because they just at home and eat too much. But even if you're not eating a lot, you still can get diabetes, just straight inactivity. Um, and I'm guilty as that too. If I didn't have a 2-year-old, I would be like 80% less active. Seriously, I would be like 80% less active. I don't know. Maybe I would like actually go to the gym. Because I can't go to the gym. I would be. How would I do it? What do I do? Bring her? No. So maybe I'll go to the gym. But then again, it's been 34 years, and I only really like committed myself to the gym 2 of those 34 years. So most likely I would be inactive. And that's actually another thing for everybody. Make sure you stay active. We all want to get truth. We all want to, kind of like figure this stuff out and, kind of like understand deeper meanings of things, I guess. Um, And basically, it's just like to get the news and, unfiltered, without some boss that works for some elite saying, take that out because that wouldn't be good for him. And, the news is obsolete now. YouTube and different forums is the news now. If you look at like TV ratings, if you look at, you want to like have a good laugh. If you have a TV and cable right now, which pretty soon I think cable at this point is obsolete. Um, not just because of the internet, but because there's been other things that have come out that are cheaper that you just buy one time and you basically have cable, but like it's different. Um, I'm not talking about what you guys are probably thinking. This is like something brand new, one that like just came out. It's like amazing. I might buy it, but then again. I don't know how, but if I had the money, I'd buy it. Yeah, donate so I can get a TV. No. Um, but yeah, so there was a kidnapping in Massachusetts, in Webster, Mass. And by the way, that coward cop down in Parkland, he, while he was hiding, listening to the children scream as they're running or lying on the ground bleeding out. You know, I mean, even if he didn't kill the guy, he could have at least like put a couple tourniquets on a couple kids, saved their lives. Instead, he waited in the friggin' thing like a coward, and he can't claim that. Oh, you know, he thought the best thing to do was wait for backup. He can't claim that. First of all, you're a coward. Second of all, there's been so many shootings that they know the number one rule is you go right in. Like before, it was like, you know, you group, get back up, and then they've changed it since. Now it's you go in. You know, it's the sooner you can kill that guy, the better. You know what I mean? Like you don't wait for backup, you go in. And, you know, like hopefully you're ex-military and, you know, you approach it that way. You know, you kind of come, you know, come around each side, you know, and just and take them out. Um, or at least die trying for kids, for children, K through 12, if I remember correctly. So he's going to jail. He's been charged. He'll actually might bail out, or they might put the bail ridiculously high. I'm not sure what they did with that. I'd like to actually check that out. That might be something fun for you guys to check out. But what do we do with every story? We think, okay, but why? Now, don't get me wrong. Some things just might be as they appear, and that's it, right? It just might be that he is paying for what he did, or is arresting him, adding legitimacy to the fact that you know they did nothing about it and let it happen. You know what I mean? Is it like, you know, like I think by him doing nothing, when that came public, they were like, well, why did he do nothing? That's exactly what happened in Vegas. They stood in that hallway and did nothing. And there was a video of it. They did nothing. So it could be, you know, a way to change the optics, you know, now that it's kind of been enough time that, you know, the wound isn't so fresh that people kind of yelp when you talk about it. Um, you know, they can kind of make it as if, you know, because he didn't do anything, he paid he's going to jail and all that stuff. And, you know, you just got to always look at things from the other side. And then, and the best question to ask yourself, who benefits? Always ask that question. Anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. But anytime, and I'm serious, anytime that you're looking for truth and you need a red pill, come to the dispensary and get your Pez. All right? All right, fellas. Take care.